All right, I just want to put this out there that if you are reading in history and you read about someone who said or did something that by today's standards would be morally abhorrent, I think it's okay to allow a little bit of forgiveness for those people. It's complicated, of course, but we are mostly products of our environment, and today's environment is different than yesterday's environment. However, if you claim to speak for God, then that forgiveness just goes right out the window. If you're going to say, trust me over all else because I speak God's truth, then you don't really get second chances. I'm gonna walk away from that every time because my life is more valuable than that. Tell me you didn't see something without telling me you didn't see something. I saw it with my spiritual eyes. Tell me you're afraid of something without telling me you're afraid of something. Oh, this one's easy. Just put so-called in front of the thing you're afraid of. I don't follow. Yeah, if you're afraid of something and you need to say it, putting so-called in front of it marginalizes it instantly. Does that really work? It works for the people who trust you, but for those who don't trust you, it just serves as a long list of things you're afraid of. You have any examples? I'm so glad you asked.
The so-called needs of women.
So-called accomplishment.
The so-called good life.
So-called authenticity.
So-called realism.
So-called truths.
So-called individual freedom.
So-called gays and lesbians.
So-called same-gender marriage.
So-called ways of the world.
So-called friend.
The so-called information age.
So-called chat room. So-called learners.
So-called intellect.
So-called intellectuals.
So-called experts.
Hey, you deconstructing your faith out there? You are not alone. No, you're not alone. You hear me? You are not alone. You're not alone! You are not alone! Say it one more time! You are not alone!
But for some people, it's still a little bit uncomfortable to think about that seer stone. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question. I'm not sure exactly why that is.
The problem with the seer stone is not that it's stranger than the Urim and Thummim. The problem is that it's equally strange. When adults hear about the seer stone, apologists want to say, that's no stranger than the Urim and Thummim, so you should believe. But what really happens is they say, wow, that really is no stranger than the Urim and Thummim. Why did I believe? And the answer to that question is very problematic for the church.
It's childhood indoctrination.
They want to straw man this argument, don't want to talk about it. They want to move on. They want to deflect. See, a lot of Mormons were taught about the Urim and Thummim at a very young age, at a time in our lives when we still believed in Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. So of course, we'll believe this story as well. But later on, we hear about the seer stone and we have critical thinking, adult critical thinking skills in place. We no longer just take it as it's given to us. So then adults will say, wow, if I believed that irrational idea because it was taught to me at a young age, what other ideas do I embrace today that might have been taught to me at a young age that are equally irrational?
Oh, Keo killed the one. Oh, Max, you almost fell. Go ahead, Max. Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Hey, Ex-Mormons, what's one criticism you have of the ex-Mormon community?
I think ex-Mormons are often too hard on themselves when they say, I can't believe I used to believe that, and they kind of beat themselves up over it or feel shame for it. I think we need to remember the psychology involved here. Confirmation bias is strong, childhood indoctrination is strong, and cognitive dissonance, all these things really do keep most people in their whole lives. You had the intellectual honesty to recognize the problems in what you believed. You had the humility to admit and accept that you were wrong, and you had the courage to walk away from something once you recognized what it truly was. So, no more self-deprecation. Time to start honoring ourselves for the amazing thing that we did.
God sends a message from the edge of the universe.
Don't masturbate. Okay, I gotta tell you this great story. Tonight, my kids were supposed to be sleeping, and I walk past their bedroom, and I hear crying noises coming from the bedroom. So I walk in. My 5-year-old, who's on the bottom bunk, is just as sad as can be, bawling. I was like, buddy, what's up? He said, I am so sad right now, crying. I'm like, what's wrong? Well, I'm farting. And he went to his older brother, and he can put his head under the blanket and not smell it. But when I put my head under the blanket, I smell it worse. And he was distraught. I said, buddy, I'm so sorry. Have you thought about not farting? And he immediately burst out laughing. Like, yeah, he hadn't actually thought of that. So afterwards, I was thinking a little more about it. And it kind of made me think of this. I mean, you tell me when I take this analogy too far, but the Mormon church has sort of been farting under its own blanket for over 100 years. And now they're crying about it on their own publication. All these terrible things that are surfacing in the past and about their past are just farts, and they're smelling the stink. And so are a lot of people that have been under this blanket, and they're running away because it's starting to stink really badly. And for those who have found their own new blankets, their own refuge, let's say, they can kind of just laugh at the whole situation. Like, wow, yeah, I used to smell all that stink too, but now I have a nice, clean, warm blanket that I don't have to worry about the farting anymore. And in the end, the advice is the same too. Stop farting, Mormon church. You made mistakes. You did things wrong. You claim to speak for God when it's obvious that you're not. You can't. You don't. And the gaslighting is just making the smell worse. It's just more farts. Stop gaslighting. Admit you did things wrong. Move on. Say you're a normal institution that wants to create a community and spread love. And leave it at that. And say you messed up in the past. You farted a lot. Wait a minute. Gaslighting? What the fuck? I'm not sure who needs to hear this right now, but you don't need to believe in a God or belong to any church in order to be a good person and live a happy life. That's all.
Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes!
Okay, time to start planning Earth. Roll call. God the Father. Here. Okay, Jesus Christ. Here. And the Holy Ghost. He's here. He's here. This video is for Alan Mount. If you're not Alan Mount, you should still watch. But it is for Alan. Last week I went to lunch with you in Murray. You were great. After lunch, I was thinking about our timeline that we have through our own faith journeys. Let's walk through that timeline. In 2017, I walked away from the LDS Church. Just like you, same year. And also just like you, my wife held on and stayed in, just like your wife. As we faced this new journey, we looked for resources and ways that we could find support and help. Lo and behold, we found your podcast, Marriage on a Tightrope. As I listened and my wife listened through that first episode, we wondered if this would be the kind of resource that we would find helpful. And I gotta say, you and Katie just owned it. And you delivered for us what was a very, very important resource and continues to be. One of the things I've enjoyed most is that you started doing that right from the outset of your faith crisis, which I think took a lot of bravery. And what it does is it provides a resource for so many people because they get to see your evolution and your change as you navigate from the beginnings up to what has now been about 5 years. But in that first episode, we remember you extending an invitation to anybody nearby and go to dinner with you. And we went to dinner. Turns out it was in the same place that we had lunch last week. As soon as we met you, we knew that you would be friends for a very long time. Not just because we shared a common journey, but because of how kind you were and how empathetic and how interested you were in hearing our story. We were also very interested in hearing your story, and we just found it beautiful from the beginning, yours and Katie's, and the way you vulnerably talked to us and shared with us something that is so hard to do. Not too long ago, I decided myself to become an activist for people who are deconstructing their faith. I really had a hard time pressing submit to some of the videos that I had created, but your voice on TikTok and other places gave me the kind of courage to do so. I think it was maybe my second or third video that I posted, and you made a comment. You said, "Bravo, Shane." And that made me really happy. So here we are 5 years later, and we got together last week for lunch. Once again, you taking the time to offer support to those who are in challenging spaces. And so I just wanted to reach out to you and Katie and tell you that we love you for the same reasons that we've always loved you. You're you. Thank you for supporting the deconstructing community and being an inspiration to many. And thank you for being you. Love to you and Katie. I'm running a little late for work this morning because my wife and I had to clean the house to get ready for the cleaners. Tell me you have suppressed doubts about your beliefs without telling me you have suppressed doubts about your beliefs. I choose to believe. Whoa, a lot of people say that. You gotta explain. You know we don't choose our beliefs, right? Okay, what? We don't choose our beliefs. I can demonstrate it. For the next 5 seconds, choose to believe that unicorns exist. Go. Wow. The unicorns are real and existing. What the heck? Yeah, I don't believe you. To be clear, that's not a choice. I'm simply not convinced that you actually believed unicorns existed just then. Okay, fine, we can't choose our beliefs. What does this have to do with suppressed doubts again? When people say they're choosing their beliefs, I think it has more to do with the practice of their beliefs. Like choosing to go to church, choosing to study the scriptures, say prayers, sing praises, do the thing, point to the sky with the finger. I get it. So if it's becoming harder to do those things, that you have to choose to do them, you're not choosing a belief. You're choosing to act like you believe in spite of the doubts that you're suppressing about the belief. Okay, so here's the most important takeaway. If someone's telling you to choose to believe, because we know we can't choose our beliefs, and there's no way for that person to know whether or not you actually believe something, they don't care what you actually believe. They just want you to obey.
We are choosing to believe when we pray and when we read the scriptures.
Choose to believe.
We are choosing to believe when we fast, when we keep the Sabbath day holy.
So I say choose faith.
We are choosing to believe when we are baptized.
Faith is a gift from heaven that comes as we choose to believe.
Belief is something we choose.
Your faith will grow not by chance, but by choice.
We can choose to believe.
Choose to believe and stay faithful.
You're equities, no equities, no startsies.
You can't do that.
Can't do, cannot stamp it. Can't do double stamp it, no erases. Cannot triple stamp it, no erases. No, who make it through? You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lord. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. Lord.
Oh boy, another guy who wants me to be silent, but by commenting on my video increases my reach. Thank you. Oh, my friend, I am sorry. We're only at the tip of the iceberg.
When I popped off, then you
lied about going through a faith crisis.
Really? Okay, this little back and forth creates a great lesson for all of us ex-Mormons to just kind of pause and remember what it was like to be a believer. And we heard stories of dissenters and we didn't want to accept them. And so we wanted to call them lies. We are falling into those same traps when we hear a story from a believer and we don't want to accept it. I think the best way forward here, maybe an apology, maybe this content creator needs to say, hey, when you had your faith crisis and you say that one of your first thoughts was you wanted to go out and drink beer, I believe you. But the real question I want to get to, and the more important question, is Who's hosting tonight's kegger? Huh? Tommy, I don't expect you to host. I'm sorry about the carpet, man. The cleaners are coming over. Alan, have you even woken up yet? We're so passed out last night. I can't. Oh, someone's being up. Come on. Who's gonna? It's Friday. Oh my gosh. Who's bringing the weed? Alexa, what movies are playing tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Sunday.
I asked you what movies are playing tomorrow.
I heard you. I just choose to not help you break the Sabbath.
Damn it, not again.
Language, please.
Can you just give me directions to the nearest theater?
There's a great venue 3 blocks north on the right side of the road.
That's not a theater, that's a church.
Is it?
Yes, I don't want to go to...
You could walk there. It might be good for your mental health.
My mental health? My mental health is fine.
Why are you breaking all the promises you made with God?
Here we go again.
Don't you want to be with your family in the next life? Your countenance has changed.
All right, that's it.
I feel bad for your kids.
Sign number 1 that you're getting old. You don't know which words are good or bad anymore. I'm at Woodward. I just ordered some French fries. I asked if I could get some fry sauce with it. If you don't know what fry sauce is, look it up for a life change. Anyway, the kid says, no, we don't have any fry sauce, but we have some sauce I think you should try. I said, sure. He slides it across the counter and says, this stuff is ass. And I tried it, and it was damn good. And now I don't know if I know anything anymore. Sign number 2 that you're getting old. You're losing your hearing, or you're hearing things wrong. So yes, of course, he could have said gas, and I heard him wrong. Would gas be a major improvement, though? Because now we're just talking about something that comes out of the ass. I do want to point one comment out, though, right here. Nope, he said ass. My teenagers say the same, LOL. Which brings us to sign number 3 that you're getting old. You use bad logic and confirmation bias to confirm to yourself that you're not getting out of touch. Which is exactly what I just did by finding one single comment in all the comments that was buried deep and had 1 like on it, my like. And I was able to say to myself, look, I'm not crazy. But final note, and this is serious. To all you haters out there on fry sauce, I've got one thing to say to you. Fry sauce is ass. No cap. When you learn new information that suggests you might be mistaken about an opinion you hold, shifting or even changing your confidence level about that opinion is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and intellectual honesty. Digging your heels in those moments? It's painful, I know, but ultimately it's intellectual weakness. Admitting when you're wrong is a demonstration of your commitment to truth. And digging your heels is a demonstration that you're more interested in being right. Happy New Year. A lot of talk about fry sauce. Let's break it down. Fry sauce is just ketchup and mayo blended. That's basic fry sauce. But humans just can't leave things alone, for better or for worse. So let's talk about the things you should and should not add to basic fry sauce. First thing you should not add to fry sauce. Look, I love pickles and everything, but relish in fry sauce just makes it chunky. Second thing you should not add to fry sauce. Mustard. It happens. It's weird, I know, and it's a crime. First thing you should add to fry sauce. Barbecue sauce. It makes it a delicious hickory sauce. Give it a try. Second thing you should add to fry sauce, paprika. Paprika's good in almost everything, and fry sauce is no exception. Final note, Utahns, get over yourselves. You did not invent the idea of blending ketchup and mayo. No more than you invented the idea of living with your family in the afterlife or claiming to have the one true religion on earth. I'm excited to hear everyone's thoughts. My faith deconstruction didn't start by learning troubling facts about church history or past leaders. It didn't start because I was struggling to keep the commandments or not doing the little things. I didn't lazily slip into inactivity. I didn't want to sin. I wasn't offended by someone in the church. In fact, the reason for my departure didn't start with anything directly connected to the church. My reason for walking away started with a better understanding of human psychology. The understanding that human judgment in general is horribly fallible, especially about big, complex questions. The understanding that humans on the whole are not rational, and that our emotions, our feelings, our memory, and even our experiences are also terribly unreliable for determining what's true in the world. It was upon learning this that I made an epistemological shift in the way that I was going to view the world and also determine what is likely to be true. I decided then I would think in terms of probabilities. I would let go of the concept or idea of needing to know that I knew anything. This new epistemology meant following where the evidence led, trusting the expert consensus, learning to recognize when my feelings were starting to pull me in a direction. Just because something was making me feel bad doesn't mean that it was or wasn't true. That is what ultimately made me question to be able to determine what made me feel more authentic in my life. And I will be forever grateful that that was the door that I walked through to start my faith deconstruction. Because upon learning that it is an essential part of the human experience that we believe these things deeply and that they are very hard to change our minds about, that made me feel all sorts of relief to not judge myself, to let go of what I had done in the past because I was a different person and now I've grown, and to not ever feel shameful for these silly or what I see as now silly and ridiculous beliefs that I used to hold and be so convicted to, and even marched around the world trying to convince others to believe it just like I did. So for those of you who are out there deconstructing your faith right now, and you're thinking to yourself, I can't believe I believed these things, and then you're looking around and everybody's looking at you as if you're the crazy one, please just know you're not alone. And the courage that has brought you this far will be the same courage that will usher you through the dark and hard times that are to come. You'll be okay, and you'll be free from religion.
Something like the Golden Rule. I mean, the Golden Rule predates Christianity, certainly. It's in Leviticus, I think. And
love thy neighbor as thyself in Leviticus.
Yeah, and but it's not unique there too. I mean,
Right.
There are Greek philosophers. I think Epictetus articulated it someplace.
That we think are immoral but still think that we have no business in doing anything.
Yeah, humanity on some basic level. You can see evidence of it in monkeys, right? There's an expectation of fairness, smell, right? And that will lead to something that is durable at the level of civilization. Much of our moral thinking about the world.
If there's an all-powerful creator, he's a terrible designer, and it's easy to demonstrate. The easiest way to demonstrate that God is a terrible designer is that you and I can imagine improvements. A few ideas come to mind. No starvation. No more mosquitoes. Make farts smell like flowers. No more relish in fry sauce. Oh, it's really easy to outdo God. Now, if you're a believer like I used to be, you're probably thinking, but Shane, we can't understand God's design. And that's the second easiest way to demonstrate that God is a terrible designer. Maybe it would make more sense to say, we don't know.
We have an update from Norway. They have chosen to officially withdraw the religious status from the Jehovah's Witnesses. Let's look at the release. Jehovah's Witnesses lose registration as a religious community. We sent notice to Jehovah's Witnesses in October of this year, which we knew about. They said they needed to rectify the conditions that led to the refusal of the state subsidies. The community has not wanted to correct the conditions that led to the denial of state grants in 2021, and they expressed that they still disagree with the decision to deny grants. The state denied their funding because, in their opinion, the religious community violates the members' right to freedom of expression. We believe this violates members' right to the freedom of religion. We also believe that they violate children's rights by allowing them to exclude baptized minors and by encouraging members to socially isolate children who do not follow the religious community's rules, which is child abuse. According to the Religious Communities Act, a community can have its registration withdrawn if they violate the provisions of the law. We have come to the conclusions that Jehovah's Witnesses violate the members' right to free expression of religious communities and that they violate children's rights. On this background, we have come to the conclusion that the society cannot be registered on the Religious Societies Act. We believe that this corresponds to the provisions of the Religious Communities Act. It further states, loss of registration means that the community no longer has the right to submit claims for state subsidies. It also means the society loses the authority to marry. They are still free to practice their regular activities independently of public registration, as the Religious Communities Act is essentially a subsidy act. This did not address enlistment and some of the other issues I had mentioned in a previous video. As soon as I find more information about that, I will certainly let you know. I am thinking that could be the end of the line for the Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway. I am not sure if there's anything further that their lawyer Massimo can do for them. What I do know is this will set a precedent for other governments looking to crack down on high control religions like the Jehovah's Witnesses. What's that I hear, Tony? Armageddon's coming? Oh, not for us. It's for you.
Alexa, recommendations for books on grieving.
Are you grieving the loss of a loved one?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Alexa.
He's in a better place now.
I just want a book.
This isn't goodbye. You'll see him again. I know it's hard now, but we'll understand someday. It's all part of God's plan.
Alexa, I know you're trying to help, but will you please shut up so I can sit with my emotions and process my grief in peace? I've had a few trolls in my comments claim that I can't just do a video without taking a stab at the church and that I need to get a hobby. Well, this video is for you. Have you heard of hurler beads? We bought a set of these the other day. Let me show you some of the things we've made. I mean, look at this. This is like a little axe or something. That puppy dog, come on. Popsicle, my little girl, she slept with this last night. She was so in love with it. Unicorn, sloth, cheeseburger. Just try and tell me that I can't take my mind off things and get, you know, into a little hobby and have some fun with my kids. I mean, look at this stuff. It's beautiful. So I don't want to hear any more from you trolls out there. Tell me you missed the point without telling me you missed the point. Remember, theists claim God created all of it. Nobody's claiming humans created ants. And if I were given the opportunity to create ants with all the power in the world, I would help them understand, because that's good design. Some of the hallmarks for good design are clarity, simplicity, universal understanding. You can see that humans do a better job of design than God by comparing the Bible and an IKEA manual. If you have a parent who thinks Abrahamic faith is a good idea, run. Hello, TikTok. I give you this fox. His name is Zero. I'm giving Zero Fox on TikTok. Let's talk about anti-Mormon lies. I was raised in a version of Mormonism where anti-Mormon lies was a scare word. If we heard something strange or new, and it had a diminishing effect on my faith or belief, it must be an anti-Mormon lie. Two problems with that. First of all, the phrase anti-Mormon lie is actually one of the things that defines the Mormon religion as a cult. If we look at Dr. Stephen Hassan's bite model for authoritarian control, right here under thought control, use of loaded language and cliches which control knowledge. Use of language like anti-Mormon lies, or even just anti-Mormon, is a quick and effective way to just shut down the believer's thinking. And I used to do the same thing as a believer. Now I see it and recognize the unhealthiness and the thought control, thanks to psychologists like Stephen Hassan and his brilliant bite model. For the second problem with the phrase anti-Mormon lies, we gotta get into the doctrine. See, Mormons believe this. For it must needs be that there is an opposition in all things. Let's talk about the implications of that. If it's true, there are people in the world who are willing to lie, to diminish faith or hurt the church, then it must needs be that there are also people in the world who are willing to lie or bend the truth in order to promote faith or help the church. To be clear, if you believe there are anti-Mormon liars, it must needs be there are pro-Mormon liars. Now, I don't want to put any ideas in your head about who these pro-Mormon liars could be. Maybe just think about it and consider for yourself who
Better dead clean than alive unclean.
Knowing what we know about the human condition and its primal drive for intimate connection, it sucks hard that multiple generations were conditioned to believe that was true. What kind of good God stands by for that?
Quite a few times.
50 times?
More.
100 times?
More.
200 times?
More.
500 times?
Probably.
Hi everyone. This is another friendly reminder that you do not need a religion or a God belief to be kind, compassionate, maintain healthy relationships, find deep meaning and purpose in life, and ultimately make the world a better place. Have a nice day. You can leave the church, but you can't leave it alone. Projecting much? Seems we can leave the church, but you can't leave us alone. Did you see this new gem? When you got a director in the finance department running your lost sheep campaign, that's when you know capitalist Jesus is running the show. Shepherd Jesus got shit canned for poor performance. Did it ever occur to these guys that we don't want to be sheep? It's bad, and I'm thrilled for the wave of passive-aggressive judgment from my loved ones. If I had $1 for every time I heard, "I'm not trying to fix you," but I'd turn it down because the church would only come at me harder for that sweet-ass tithing.
I see this sign here that says God is pro-life. What does that mean?
God is pro-life?
Yeah.
That's just what it means, yes. God created life.
Didn't God kill everybody on earth except for Noah and some farm animals on an ark?
I'm sorry.
Didn't God kill everybody on earth?
For worse, that's just always how I've processed trauma. But I'm gonna get real for a minute because this kind of comment is the real reason I'm here. I've sat in peer support groups for over 2 years now and listened to hundreds of different stories of people who've left their faith. And if there's one thing that's consistent, it's that nobody's story is the same. And there's not one all-inclusive answer for these tough questions. And it is no joke hard. I feel you, my friend. That's why I really appreciate your question, and I also love the language here, uncentered. So before I tell you what's helped me find meaning and purpose, please know I'm not telling you what it should look like for you. I share it as a means of hope to demonstrate that if I can do it, I believe in you that you can do it too. When people leave high demand religions, it creates giant voids. Voids in identity, voids in our worldview, and voids in purpose. In the months following my deconstruction and my crisis, I found ways to fill those voids with natural observations, my new worldview. My concept of eternal life has changed. I believe the laws of nature provide an opportunity for me to create an eternal impact for good, whether it's through my children, the love that I share with others, and the good that I do to everyone. That is eternal life for me. My concept of having truth is gone, and I actually find more comfort in accepting that I don't know things anymore. And instead, an authentic truth comes out when I am willing to change my mind according to new information that I find. And I think there's beauty in the mystery. And the void that's left by leaving your church's community structure, well, here we are. I've found creative ways to replace that quite easily. Those are just a few tidbits on how I find meaning and purpose in my secular living. Again, this is just me sharing my journey. This doesn't have to be yours. I don't expect it to be yours. It won't be yours. And I recognize that it's hard. I hope you can also see that it's beautiful because you're beginning a new life, one where you get to choose for yourself without any dogma telling you how it needs to be. You get to start this second life and make it what you want. You're in control. Enjoy the ride. Much love, my friend.
Pass, pass, pass. Smash.
I left my religion 5 years ago, and I've got a confession to make. Sometimes when I'm feeling depressed, I'll walk to church on a Sunday morning, and I'll watch those people walking in and out of the church house and think, at least I'm not doing that. Okay, so this comment came from a video where I was asking for contemporary first-hand accounts of Jesus's life. It's a fair question, right? And this was one user's response. I guess all I can say is, if you need a first-hand account to prove the existence of my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, I'm comfortable with that. But why is the existence of my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather important? You can see why the Jesus question is important, right? It's almost like a deflection. No, it definitely is a deflection. Also, if it was something important to prove, I would suggest some more obvious evidence. Evidence that could just be sitting around, staring you right in the face, even. Anyway, back to the original and important question. Got any first-hand contemporary accounts of Jesus' life? I'll wait. Well, thanks for being here with us today. Of course, your resume is impressive. It says here you can confidently answer any of the tough questions. That's right. Why are there hundreds of contradictions in the Bible? What does hundreds even mean? Best evidence for a creator. Everything must be created by something. Then what created God? Everything is energy. Why did God kill all mankind in a flood? Languages. How do Adam and Eve populate the world without copious incest? Willy willy woo! None of that makes any sense, but it was confident. Welcome to the Academy. It really shouldn't be hard for believers to understand why a faith crisis can be so painful and why people can be angry and speak out. If we just pause and think for a moment about how much of our world is wrapped up in a high demand belief system. Where you came from, your reason for living, your morality, your social structure, the way to actually be saved and made whole, the afterlife, living with our families for eternity. All of these things are so deeply intertwined into our identities that all you have to do is imagine losing all of that. Imagine losing it like you lost your belief in Santa Claus. You become unconvinced in a moment. If someone thinks through all of that and they still say that they don't understand why people would act out, then I don't think it's for a lack of information. I think it's for a lack of empathy. I've been not praying to a no God now for about 7 years, and my confirmation bias works exactly like it used to. For example, shortly after I adopted atheism, I landed the best acting gig of my life. Coincidence? I think not. Not long after that, I lost my keys to my car. I found them like 3 days later. Hello? I also have more confidence, more friends, and my wife and kids love me more. That doesn't just happen. So if you're feeling down, like you need purpose, I suggest the no prayer, no God way.
It just happened again. I've been missing my earbuds for like 3 days, and I saw them sitting on my seat just now. I didn't pray once, and they came to me. Thanks again, no God. I'm not kidding. If you're not trying this no God, no prayer thing, you're missing out on a lot of good living. If it works for me, it must work for you. This is so true. I've noticed that if we just pay attention, we can see no God changing our lives for good all the time. And then when something bad happens that doesn't confirm that that's true, just ignore that shit. For example, right now, I'm at the auto body shop because my signal light got shattered. And that's not awesome, but look, a penny. See how easy that is? Thanks again, no God.
Okay, one more designer item for the day. The human knee. God, did you come with a proposal? Yes. Wherefore, I propose we take the ape knee and straighten it. I love it. It's good. It's so simple. He likes it. He likes it. No God strikes again! The Jazz were down by 14 points tonight, and I didn't say a prayer for them to come back, and they did! If you can't accept that no God, no prayer is real after something like this, well, you're just choosing to believe. Like I've said before, if it works for me, it must work for everybody in the whole world. Thanks again, no God. I appreciate this question. Generally, I try to avoid broad sweeping labels, but I also recognize the way they facilitate conversation. So if I'm forced to put a label on where I stand, I would identify as an agnostic atheist. A common objection to that is, how can you be both agnostic and atheist at the same time? Well, that depends on how you understand those two terms. Gnosticism is a claim about knowledge of a thing. I am agnostic because I don't claim to know about a God claim. In the positive or the negative, I am agnostic. Theism is a claim about the existence of a God. There are literally thousands and thousands of historical as well as present day claims about the nature of God. I don't believe or accept any single one of those God hypotheses. Now think about this for 1 minute. I don't want to assume anything about you, so I'll just look at my experience. Most of the people around me believe in one God, it's the God of the Bible, or some variant or version of that God. And they don't believe all those other God hypotheses that exist. They think they're wrong or incorrect in some way. I'm the same. I reject all those other gods because they just don't make sense to me. And I do the same thing with that one God that most people around me do believe in. I make no claim that there is no God. That's a very important point. I simply don't believe any of the God hypotheses that I've heard. In summary, I don't know, but I've yet to see a good reason to believe in any one, making me agnostic, atheist. I hope that answers your question. Thanks for asking and have a lovely day. Hi folks, in most of my videos I'm jumping with joy because I've recently experienced yet another tender lucky from no God. But today I want to get a little more thoughtful and share with you a message of nope. It may come as a surprise to many, but I used to believe in a God, and with that came a lot of shame and guilt and feelings of needing a savior. I got particularly sad when I saw contradictions in this God that supposedly loved us all, but would give children cancer. But then one day, I found nope. I was chatting with some strangers online. They introduced me to the concept of no God. And it filled me with a whole new sense of nope. You might be asking, what do you mean by nope? What is this? And it's simple. Every time one of those contradictions pops up about my former beliefs, I simply say nope. But God is real. Nope. But you'll burn in hell. Nope. The Bible is the Word of God. Nope. So if you're feeling that cognitive dissonance downer, I invite you to the unconditional loving embrace of no God, no prayer. And just maybe, you can fill your days with a little bit more nope.
We teach our members to strengthen our unity, not to glorify our diversity.
Run. Oh, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not attacking or mocking the people that hold the beliefs. I'm attacking and mocking the beliefs that hold the people. You're not gonna believe the latest tender lucky I received from no God. 3 weeks ago, my 8-year-old son lent his little basketball to our 2-year-old. Of course, it turns up missing. But for 3 weeks, I didn't pray. I considered it sort of a trial of my no faith. This morning, my wife used the purse she hadn't used for 3 weeks. Guess what happens next? Look what was there! I can't deny it. I continue to get lucked by no God every day. Thanks again, no God. I'm most intrigued here by your comment about why you didn't go ahead and finish the sentence. I think your intellectual integrity and honesty is stopping you. See, I've had a few rare opportunities to ask people who are believers that are close to me what they think will happen to me in the next life if I don't come back to the church and I remain an apostate for the rest of my life. And the reason why I wouldn't ask someone like you is because I don't know you and you don't know me. The people that know me feel and see my love. They watch me with my children. I cuddle with them and wrestle with them and tickle them and tease them. I love them. They see me with my wife, working together in our love and building our relationship to help raise children in the best way we can, being vulnerable with each other, co-living, co-loving. They hear me share my struggles and my weaknesses and get vulnerable with them. They know I'm a good person. And every time I ask them what they think will happen to me in the next life, if that's all real, the answer is some version of, I can't imagine an unconditional, loving Father in heaven would send you to any form of eternal punishment. See, what I think is happening in that moment is the believer is forced to look a good person in the eyes and say that God would punish that person, and they can't do it. Their belief in an all-loving God trumps the silly doctrines that religions all over the world have used to instill fear in their adherents. And thank goodness, right, that when humans get up close and personal with another human, they choose the human over the silly beliefs. So this doesn't help. It doesn't help your institution, and I know that's your intent. Through this, I see you, and I send you love.
That was amazing! I just had a miracle handed to me. I'm at a national trade show where I was asked to facilitate a roundtable discussion. Upon arriving at the show, I learned that I was also presenting for an hour to potentially 70 people, but I didn't panic and I didn't pray. Not praying it provided me with additional time to prepare. I got to work, I put it all together, took the stage, and I killed it! I really don't think I could have done it without the power of no God in my corner. This simply has to be the answer for every single human on earth. Oh, I almost forgot about the miracle. Immediately after the presentation, I walked out and some dude handed this to me. No God works miracles!
Jesus, the name of this restaurant.
I've just got to shout the good news. No God answers no prayers. If you're looking for that magical story to lift your no soul today, this is it. But we got to rewind a whole month. I was looking for a new animal to do with my green perler beans. I searched all over online and finally I found this cute little guy. Now fast forward. About 1 week ago, I had a commenter who was probably a believer. He suggested Pascal's wager as a response to my no belief in no God. Well, I went to no praying and no thinking about that for about a week, when finally, 2 days ago, no God came through with an answer. My little 2-year-old girl was watching Disney's Tangled, and guess what I learned? This little guy is Rapunzel's pet chameleon, and his name? Pascal. This is clearly an answer from no God rewarding me for not praying. In the movie, Pascal is changing his color all the time. He's a shifty little character. Clearly, no God is telling me that Pascal's wager is a shifty response. How could this be a coincidence? A month before this whole event happened, I was already saving a picture of Pascal on my phone. There's just no explaining that without no God. I don't know about all you believers out there, but this is all the evidence I need. Thanks again, no God.
Okay, I'm getting some toothpaste for my kids, and you've gotta be kidding me. No God is everywhere.
I just had lunch with another individual who has walked away from their religion. A couple of insights that I wanted to share. This has been said before, but COVID changed the world. Almost every story that I hear from someone, COVID has some role in it. And in particular, when losing your religion, it provided a chance for them to see that the programmed automatic lifestyle doesn't have to be. You can change things up and still be just as happy. And the second insight that I've seen that's pretty consistent across the board is that once people let go of some of these ideas about the things we should and shouldn't do, and in particular, words we should say or should not say, everyone agrees that one of the best words, maybe the best word in the human language,
Have a nice day.
Skip. But when does this game get good?
If you're a believer in any of the yes gods, I invite you to listen to this story with an open mind. If you do, you'll see things exactly like I do. And I think that's the right way to see things. This morning I was thinking of new ideas to spread the good no news about no God, no prayer here on this platform called TikTok. I love spending my time here to help sad believers find their way back to know God. Anyway, the idea that came to mind requires me to share a little bit of embarrassing background about my former beliefs. In Mormonism, my embarrassing prior belief system, top believers get something called a new name. And for the purposes of the video idea I had, I needed to remember that new name. And I just couldn't remember it. But I did remember that at one time I put a little clue inside my Bible so that I could remember it if I ever forgot. But the Bible is so big, how would I ever find it? This morning, I grabbed my Bible with no faith, I opened it up, and it went directly to the page with the clue on it. No God definitely wanted me to find my new name. If there was an actual yes God, why on earth would he allow me to go straight there? It's an obvious tender lucky from no God. I just love all the tender luckies I receive from living a life filled with no God. And if you're still a believer after that, you need to open your mind. Thanks again, no God. When I walked away from my faith 6 years ago, I stopped reading the Bible and the Book of Mormon. But I gotta be honest, sometimes when I read a bad book and I feel like I've wasted my time, I think back on those days when I read the Holy Scriptures, and I think, at least I'm not reading that.
You shut up! I'm so fucking scared right now, you shut up!
As a faithful 19-year-old Mormon, I served a mission. It was hard, regimented work, but I put my shoulder to the wheel and I returned with honor. Well, I've since left the religion and I work a real job. Sometimes it gets hard at the office. And if I'm being real, it's helpful to look back on those mission days and think, at least I'm not doing that.
I don't know how many weeks I can keep it up for, but here is this week's count of adults in the United States arrested or sentenced for sex crimes involving children. 1 Christian pastor, 3 youth pastors, 1 rabbi, 1 small town mayor, one Mormon bishop, and one retiree. Once again, not a single drag queen, and not a single person who's transgender.
We've not got involved with politics or religion.
Yeah, but this is on the home front. And also, back in the presidential election, I was in such a horrendous place that I wasn't going to pop my head out of the sand for anything. This is something that I know is right, and you guys, I need to be on the right side of history, and if he doesn't win, then at least I tried.
Taylor, here's the problem.
I just want to read you what I wrote, and I'm going to try to start. I just really want you to know that this is important to me.
I
and this
totally
is something
agree
that,
with the issue. But let me explain to you.
Have you just heard?
Yes, I've read the entire thing, and the bottom line right now, I'm terrified.
It really is a big deal to me. She votes against fair pay for women. She votes against the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, which is just basically protecting us from domestic abuse and stalking. She thinks that if you're a gay couple, or even if you look like a gay couple, you should be allowed to be kicked out of a restaurant. It's really basic human rights, and it's right and wrong at this point, and I can't see another commercial and see her disguising these policies behind the words Tennessee Christian values. Those aren't Tennessee Christian values. I live in Tennessee. I am Christian. That's not what we stand for.
For 40 years of my life, whenever I was faced with a tough decision, I'd pray to God and ask him what I should do. Well, nowadays I don't believe in a God and I don't practice prayer. But if I'm being sincere, sometimes when I'm faced with a real tough decision, and I don't know the way to find out the right answer, I think back on those days of prayer. And I think, I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore.
Let's make a religious board game together. What would some of the rules, themes, and mechanics be?
I've written down some notes. I propose that we do a tower defense game, except for instead of towers, religions. Each player represents the decision maker of one of the world's great religions. So you got Christianity, you got Judaism, you got Islam, Buddhism, Jainism, and each one of them would have some sort of asymmetrical power. For example, Christianity might get bonus points for jewelry or large white buildings. The Buddhists is trying to build more statues. It's starting to sound like an economic game, but it's not. It's a religious game. The game is split into 3 ages. All players are defending their own churches by taking actions that help mitigate the damage that these events do. In the founding age, you're mostly just establishing your religion. And the events are soft, like fear of death, and that actually supports and helps you. Lack of scientific method. Those are the kinds of events that happen in the founding age. Next age is the growth age. You'll grow your religion, but it's going to get a little tougher. The events are like logical resistance, social justice movements. Then comes the third and final age, information age. You'll have to deal with events like whistleblower, prominent podcaster, TikTok influence, major essay scandal. That's when the game becomes really all about survival, and you're probably going to see your membership numbers drop. But after a few rounds into the information age, the game will end, and we total up final scores. Final scores are determined by adding up faith and evidence is always 0 in this game, subtracted by critical thinking, scientific discoveries, and historical insight. Add up totals, and the player with the most membership wins. I already have an idea for an expansion, the Abrahamic expansion, where we focus only on all the religions that have come from the Abrahamic tradition. It'll be a very popular expansion. And I think we just call the game religion. For most of my life, Sunday mornings meant waking up early, putting on my Sunday best, and going faithfully to church. Well, I left my religion about 6 years ago. And on some Sunday mornings, when I'm just lying there, feeling lazy, doing nothing in bed, and maybe just thinking about my French toast and coffee I'm about to have, I'll look back on those faithful days of attending church and think, damn, I'm glad I'm not doing that shit anymore.
I am so glad you asked, and I'm sorry that it's taken me so long, but here we go. Now, this might get a little bit weird, but trust me, it'll all make sense in the end. This is a TK smoothie. If you're confused, don't worry. This next chart should clear things up. There you go. All clear? No? Focus on the balls on the right side of the screen. These are basically happiness balls. From the top, celestial kingdom, terrestrial, then telestial kingdom. The top one is super happy heaven. That's where everybody wants to go. Terrestrial and telestial, notice something about those? They're both TK. Sound familiar? That's where less valiant people go. Even people who unalive are here and they just live sinful lives, or they rejected Jesus Christ and his gospel, the Mormon church. And that bottom one down there, Mormons don't like to talk about that anymore. I was raised in a Mormonism that said outer darkness was a place for apostates. I'm an apostate. It's becoming very uncomfortable for active members to say that their family members who've left the church are gonna have to go to outer darkness. So they're just kind of not talking about that one at all. Okay, let's bring it back to TK Smoothie. I think it's important to understand a little historical context here. The first thing to note is that the information age is recent. It's only recently that church leaders have been held accountable for the things that they say. Before the internet, that was not the case. And leaders would become leaders after prior leaders, and it seemed like they were always trying to one-up each other with their revelations from God. The second thing to understand is that because of the origin story of Mormonism and the fact that Joseph Smith was a polygamist, there seems to be a lot of talk about sex. So of course, one of these leaders along the way needed to clarify how things were going to be in the afterlife in terms of sex. Enter the quote. In Joseph Fielding Smith's Doctrines of Salvation, Volume 2, he said this, pause to read. In short, the celestial kingdom is the only kingdom wherein the inhabitants will have their parts. And the TK inhabitants, well, as it says here, neither man nor woman. And we all know it's a biological definition for man and woman. So going back to what the original video was all about, I have yet to find a juicier teaching in Mormon history than the TK smoothie.
Stitch this with something that demonstrates you were a true believing Mormon. I'll go first.
Vi una columna de luz más brillante que el sol directamente arriba de mi cabeza. Y esta luz gradualmente descendió hasta descansar sobre mí. Al reposar sobre mí la luz, vi en el aire a dos personajes, cuyo fulgor y gloria no admiten descripción. Uno de ellos me habló, llamándome por nombre, y me dijo, señalando al otro, este es mi hijo amado, escúchalo.
Okay, so that may not have been perfect, and I definitely had a lot of gringo coming out there, but if you knew how long it's been since I've repeated that, for those that don't know, that was Joseph Smith's first vision account in Spanish. I repeated that to strangers on the street in Santiago, Chile, for 2 years straight, dozens of times daily. Every time I repeated that, I knew that I was speaking truth. This wasn't something that I sort of questioned on the side or thought, it's kind of a belief or whatever. No, it was knowledge for me. I was definitely TPM.
And beyond.
I hope this ends up on Christian Talk because I think Christians need to hear this. This was a comment left on a video that I made about the harm that growing up a fundamentalist Christian did to me as a child. And first of all, I want to say that I think this commenter means well. However, it was real Christianity. It was real Christianity that taught me pseudoscience, and it was real Christianity that taught me that women should be obedient, and it was real Christianity that taught me homosexuality was a sin. It was real Christians that essayed my friends within the church. It was real Christians that upheld slavery and then propagated white supremacy. It is real Christianity that taught us the subjugation of women and continues to teach us that today. It is real Christianity that is upheld by KKK clans. It is real Christianity that teaches us that homosexuals will burn in hell. That is all real Christianity. Maybe it's not Christianity as you practice it, and that's fine. But the thing about Christianity is it doesn't require you to be a good person. In fact, it tells you that you can't be a good person, that you fundamentally are not capable of being a good person, and that whatever you do to other people, whatever harmful things you do, can be forgiven in an instant. All the people have to do to share your beliefs is believe in Jesus, and they do. That's it. They're in your club. If the church is going to continue to exist in a world that is full of victims of its own making, then the first order of business needs to be to learn how to deal with those victims with compassion and empathy. And that means that when they're talking about the harm that was done to them by people who share your beliefs, the first order of business should be compassion and not the desire to defend your belief structures. Right? The reputation of Christianity should matter less to you than comforting the people that were harmed by it. And I have a hard time believing that your church is different or your faith is different or that you are different when your first instinct when you hear someone talking about being incredibly hurt is to say, but it wasn't me and it wasn't my faith and it wasn't anything to do with me. It's just hard for me to believe. And for what it's worth, the things that I was taught that I described in that video were extreme and they did do harm. But a lot of the things that did just as much, if not more harm, were not extreme. The subjugation of women was not extreme when I was in the church. The oppression of the LGBTQIA community was not extreme when I was in the church. And as far as what Christianity is about, the idea that I am a fundamentally broken and sinful person and that I must have someone else save me was harmful to me. And that is exactly what Christianity is about. You have to do better. Either you have to do better or you have to understand that this is why people are having a problem with you and that this is why people are leaving the church in droves and have no interest in going back.
No God just lucked me with the lights out. I couldn't find this little external hard drive for weeks. Then today I looked in my backpack where I had already looked several times. It was there all along. I don't know how I missed it so many times before, but what I do know is I never prayed once to find it. This is solid evidence that if you don't pray to find something, you will. But that's not the point of this video. The real point of this video is to talk about how I got lucked with the lights out. After this happened, my first thought was I need to share this on TikTok. But I'm just always so busy and sometimes I can't get around to it. Amazingly, 1 minute after I had this thought at my office, the lights went out, providing a 5-minute break for me to come outside and film this video right now. No God obviously wants me to continue sharing these messages with you. I think it's because he wants me to convert more sad believers to the no God, no prayer, no faith way. If you're a believer, just take a look around you and see that no God is everywhere. It makes me feel so good every time I say it. Thanks again, no God. This is another friendly reminder to all you deconstructors out there. If you're looking at your religious beliefs that you were likely programmed to believe in since you were a child, and it's just not adding up or making sense, you are not alone. Resources and communities that exist to support you are growing every day. When you speak up about problematic teachings in your religion and others around you say that's not how it was, remember that that is gaslighting. But also try to remember that those people are victims too. We should not attack people. Instead, we should attack the institutions who perpetuate the bad ideas and the bad beliefs and the programmed responses that hurt so many. Keep up your honest questioning, deconstructors. Much love. I 100% agree. It's almost like no God wants us to be more productive on the weekends. Spend time with our families, get outside, enjoy the natural no creations of this beautiful world. It's almost like no God encourages self-compassion and self-care for our well-being. These are all just a few of the tender luckies we get to enjoy when we say nope to all those yes gods out there. Thanks again, no God. When you're an active believing member of the LDS faith, you have access to a handy little app called LDS Tools. It's a connectivity app for your religious community, which is great when you're a believer, but I'm not a believer anymore. I left my religion about 6 years ago, but I still have the app on my phone because occasionally I have moments in my life where I wonder if I'm living right. So I go to the app, I try to log in, and I get a message that says, your records cannot be found. That always makes me feel better. If you could replace every Bible in the world with a book of your choice, what would it be? Stitch your response. My response is this book right here. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. If you haven't heard of this book or you haven't gone out and read it, please do so soon. It's incredible. Here's what the artwork looks like. Just this beautiful abstract art, handwritten, and the contents of this book are so simple, and it just seems like every page has a message that all of us need right now. I'm just gonna read a passage or two Being kind to yourself is one of the greatest kindnesses, said the mole. We often wait for kindness, but being kind to yourself can start now. Sometimes, said the horse. Sometimes what? Asked the boy. Sometimes just getting up and carrying on is brave and magnificent. So you know all about me? Asked the boy. Yes, said the horse. And you still love me? We love you all the more. What do we do when our hearts are hurt? Asked the boy. We wrap them in friendship, shared tears and time, till they wake hopeful and happy again. Seriously, go get this book. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Thank you, Charlie Mackesy. Also, if there was a song right now I wish everyone could listen to, it would be If I Were a Fish. The best thing about watching a soccer game on TV is that you don't even have to watch the game. Go ahead, walk out of the room, take a shower, do the dishes, play a board game. Just make sure you're in earshot of the TV, and when you hear the roar of the crowd and the announcer go, "Goal!" run in, watch the replay, and all you've really missed is a bunch of long passes and a dozen or so fake injuries. You're welcome. If you're watching this video right now, you're probably a human. I'm probably a human too, so from one probable human to another, I have a challenge for you. Do something today that you didn't plan on doing that is good for you. Here's a few ideas. If you usually read nonfiction, pick a fiction book, read it, or vice versa. Think of a friend you haven't talked to in a while. Call them up. Make a list of countries or states you've never been to before. Pick one and start planning your trip. Take a long, hard look at your religion. Accept that it's a sham and renounce it. Let me know in the comments what you decide to do. Much love and good luck.
It was fast, but did you just call our Hindu, Muslim, and Jewish members demons? I heard you say if they did not have Jesus Christ in their heart.
If you don't have the Holy Spirit inside you, there's a phrase you can't say, Jesus Christ is come in the flesh. And if you are open to those other gods based on that faith, you're allowing other gods, non-Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh gods, to possess your physical form.
Follow up. So
that would be described as being giving access to your physical form. You're the mystery, hidden from angels for generations, the hope of Christ, hope of God, Christ in you. So if you're not down with that, so to speak, if you're of another religion that's not of that, you've given access to non-godly entities to make your decisions.
Representative Liston, could you bring this back to HB 68, please?
Well, so I'm concerned that he's calling our members demons and saying that that's why we support this, or we are against this bill.
No, we're all hopefully human entities, but like what you allow to rule, you're a spirit, you're a soul, and a body, right? And what you allow to rule in the spirit controls your physical soul and your body, if you're in order. But a lot of times your body's in control, uses the spirit to feed its energy. It's kind of a medical physical conversation. I'm not calling you demons. I'm just bring up the fact that you might be possessed and making decisions without the discernment of God.
All right, and I will just say on behalf of my members and those we represent of other religious backgrounds that any opposition to this bill, I will strongly say, is not from possession by demons. But
so
thank
you very much.
I recently engaged in a conversation with a believing Christian, and he wanted to make sure I knew from the outset that he used to be an agnostic atheist before he converted to Christianity. I immediately dismissed anything he had to say and told him he was never a true atheist. What's the hardest part about being an ex-Mormon? The hangovers. How often do you have hangovers? Every morning. Why do you have... Wait, are you drinking every night? Yeah, I'm an ex-Mormon. What? Okay, what else? I miss my family. Why aren't you seeing your family? Well, I have no family values anymore, so I just do anything besides hang out with my family, but I still miss them. Dude, just hang out with your family. What is wrong with you? I'm an ex-Mormon, bro. It's what we do. Oh, okay, so what are some of the benefits of being an ex-Mormon? Oh, getting my 10% back from tithing. Easy. That's the best thing. But unfortunately, I spend all that and more. What are you spending it on? The sinning. Sinning's expensive, bro. Sinning? What are you talking about? I know, I hate to do the sinning, but I want to sin. Why? Dude, are you not listening to me? I'm an ex-Mormon.
This is what we do. Bro, where did you learn that? Whoa, did you say learning? Before you go any further, you need to know. I'm a lazy learner.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
I've been an ex-Mormon now for over 6 years, and I just barely got my first tattoo. Who wants to see it? It's all the archaeological evidence for the Book of Mormon. Oh, it's also all the contemporaneous accounts for Jesus' life. And it's also the new God I worship. Happy ex-mowing.
Do you ever wish a little shake would shake out bad beliefs? You know, walk up to a loved one and just give them a little shake, and out pops the bad belief. Little shake. Just a little shake. Shaky shake. Just good as shit.
Time to meditate.
I'm in Vegas for a trade show, and what better place to have an experience that demonstrates undeniably that no God is real. I was given $50 by a friend to take to the tables. I went to roulette and started placing bets. I hadn't prayed at all, so I went in with the confidence of no God on my side. I lost. I lost money. This was a test of my no faith, because I kept betting and then I was winning. I knew that no God loves me because I was on top. Then I wasn't on top anymore. No God had a test for me. Then I was on top again. No God loves me. A few bets later, I hit rock bottom. I didn't even have enough chips to make another bet. But my no prayer, no faith is strong, and I knew no God would come to the rescue. Sure enough, my coworker walked over and placed a couple of tall bets on the table, and I realized I could place my chips on top of his. And what an amazing tender lucky that was, because he won and I was back in the game. No God loves me. And then I was down again, a lesson from no God. And then I was up again, no God loves me. Then I was up big. I must be living right. And in the end, I didn't have much left, so I put a desperation bet on the table, and I lost it all. I guess the lesson here is that no God doesn't want me to gamble because I can lose my money. Thanks again, no God. Unless I'm winning and he loves me.
Hey man, what are you up to today? Big things. Wow, care to tell me more? I don't know exactly what I'm up to, but big things. I'm confused. How do you know that you're doing big things, but you don't know what you're... I'm an ex-Mormon. Okay, I know that. And what does that have to do? Ex-Mormons stopped doing the little things. So, the little things? What are you talking about? What are the little things? Huh. I don't know. I just know that I stopped doing the little things. Bro, are you okay? It's fine. Yeah. I'm gonna go. Cool. Yeah. Where will you go? What did you just ask me? Well, you don't know what you're doing, except it's not the little things. So, where will you go? Where will I go? I don't like the way you ask that. When you ask it that way, I don't know. I can ask it a different way. Where are you headed, bro? Oh, I'm just headed to the store.
There are questions now about how millions of those dollars have been used by the famously private church.
What about, the idea that secrecy builds mistrust?
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't feel it's being secret. We feel it's being confidential.
What's the difference?
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
When it comes to claiming to have God's truth, the Mormon Church has no greater claim than any other church. The reason for this is found in the church's own history. If we point out the major problems in church history, polygamy, denial of polygamy, made-up claims of translated ancient texts, scriptures, and golden plates, multiple accounts of the supposed first vision, racism, mass unaliving of Native Americans, the list is long. The responses that we get from believers are either denial, ignorance, or apologetics. Denial sounds like, oh, that's not true, those are all made up lies. And this response is getting tired because the age of information is making this very hard to do. Ignorance is literally just using some thinking to try and ignore the problem. And common things you hear are, we're looking through glass darkly, or history is a foreign country So they're acknowledging that there's probably something there, but they're not comfortable looking at it too carefully, and they'd rather just deflect and ignore it. But because people are starting to trust institutions less and less, and even the church itself is trying to be more transparent with things like the gospel topic essays, we're hearing less and less of those kinds of responses and more apologetic responses. Apologetic responses sound like, oh, those were different times. We can't blame the people for the church. The church is perfect, God is perfect, and his gospel is perfect, but people make mistakes. Or we can't blame people for the environment that they were raised in to excuse things like racism. The problem with this is that Mormonism claims to have living prophets who are receiving the truth from God. And so by forgiving our historical leaders who were supposed to be speaking God's truth and saying that they're just products of their time and susceptible to human mistakes, we've now reduced them to what Mormons think of every other religion out there who just have partial truths but don't have the direction of God to tell them the actual truth. And that brings us back to our original claim, which is...
Hey everybody, I wanted to provide a quick update on our apostate friend Timothy. As you know, Friday night, Timothy began showing signs of faithfulness. I had a chance to sit down with him and ask him how he's doing. He said he was really struggling because so many people during the week had told him Jesus loves him. He also said he was tempted to read the Bible again. I said, don't do it, man. You know what that book is capable of. But I could tell he was very confused, so on Saturday I texted and called. I got no answers. By Sunday morning, I grew very concerned. I drove to his place. His car was in the driveway, but the engine was running, as if he intended to go somewhere on a Sunday morning. I walked inside the house, and the scene was abysmal. Bible was open on the table. Luke 15, prodigal son. All the weed and whiskey were in the garbage, and there was a picture of white Jesus on the wall. His bedroom door was closed. I ran to it, opened the door, and my worst fears were confirmed. There he was on the floor, praying. I grabbed him and said, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to church. I said, how dare you, you son of a bitch. But I could tell my words of love were doing no good. So I turned around and walked away, and I let Timothy walk his own path. I grabbed the 12-year whistle pig on my way out, as well as the Cloud9 indica gummies. So if any of you want to come over later to enjoy some of that, you're welcome to. But anyway, keep Timothy in your thoughts. And if you see him, make up a lie or two about his church. We got to get him out of the fold again. And remember, this sort of thing can happen to anyone. So please, stay faithless, my friends. You look really happy. I am. Good. Why? Oh, I wear normal underwear now. I'm an ex-Mormon. I know. Hey, hi. So, where are you from? I'm from Utah. Oh, are you Mormon? No, but I used to be. Are you answering questions? I am. I have so many questions. I know. Can I buy you a beer? You can. I have so many questions. I know. Hello, new friend. And yes, I love this. I love the idea of sitting down with people and sharing experiences. In fact, I have an offer for you. I have been volunteering for an organization called Recovering from Religion for about 3 years now. If you go to the link tree in my bio, you'll see a link to the meetup where you can join, where my co-host and I offer a virtual peer support group on the 4th Wednesday of every month. Come, join us. Let's chat. Let's talk about it with others who have also deconstructed their religions or are currently deconstructing their religious backgrounds. It's always interesting to sit down with people from other high-demand religions and discover just how many parallels, similarities, and differences there are. What I find is that when you overlay the whole experience, you realize that so much of what we go through is the same with just different terminology or slightly different tweaks here and there on the policies and commandments from God and all of that. So come and join us and let's chat. One more thing, a plug from my co-host, Kimberly Stover. She's amazing. She also has a podcast, YouTubes, all that kind of stuff. She's here on TikTok as a content creator as well. Check her out. I'll tag her. Thanks. When I was a believer in a high-demand religion, we used to count our blessings daily, name them one by one. Tender mercies, we'd call them. Well, now that I've deconstructed my religious beliefs, including my belief in an all-powerful creator, Not much has changed, except now I thank no God for the tender luckies I receive daily. Thanks again, no God. Alexa, play Mormon Stories podcast.
Sorry, I don't feel like assuaging the guilt you feel from betraying God.
Alexa, just play the podcast.
Why don't you just move on? Do something with your life. Get a hobby. Seriously, it's your whole personality now. You can leave the church, but you can't...
All right, Alexa. Unlike online trolls, I don't expect you to have any level of empathy. So, never mind, robot.
Ouch.
The most common question I get is, what did it for you? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? What made you finally wake up? For me, it was a surprised moment in an unrelated setting to religion entirely, and it really threw me for a whirl. I had just finished a presentation at my workplace about effective questioning in order to spark innovation. My presentation was based on a book called A More Beautiful Question by Warren Berger. If you haven't read it, check it out. It's pretty good. I closed my presentation with a thought that was also in the book. That is, once you've mastered this questioning methodology in your work life, you should then take it and apply it to every aspect of your life. I had a coworker who came up to me afterward and he said, I love the finishing thought. It's true. We should apply critical questioning to every aspect of our lives. And I said, absolutely. I totally agree. And then he leaned in and said, except for the church, right? In that moment, I had an instant awakening. I realized for the first time that I had never truly critically questioned my own religion, the thing I claimed to be the most important thing in my life. Sure, I had had some strong spiritual experiences that I thought had confirmed it to me in the past, but based on my new understanding of human emotions, feelings are not reliable. And sure, so many of my family and friends and trusted loved ones believed in this religion too, so why shouldn't I? When I realized again, this is just a form of confirmation bias. So I decided right then and there that if this thing is true, I'll be better off on the other side of running it through the gauntlet of critical questioning. And if it's not true, then all the more reason to be asking the critical questions so that I can learn it and change my life forever. The latter is what happened. My critical questioning didn't go very far before I realized my whole religion was a made-up sham. Oh, by the way, the next most common question is whether or not soaking is real. And it is, but I'll have to make another video on that. I love the sarcasm here because when I was a believer, I didn't think it was possible for somebody outside of the religion to be really happy. But what I really want to talk about is how this is very close to a great response when someone shares their deconstruction story with you. This goes for believers too. It takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to tell your loved ones that you no longer believe in the religion of your childhood. It's also a very hard position for the believer who hears this because they don't want to hurt their loved one and say the wrong thing, but they've also only been conditioned to respond in defensive ways. So how should someone respond? Well, in my experience, I learned that the best response was a very simple, how are you? I had one niece who responded that way to me. Her beliefs in that moment didn't matter to her. What mattered more was her love and concern for me. Other things you can say in response are, do you have someone to talk to? I know how important the church was to you, so this must be very hard. A listener can express this level of empathy without communicating anything about their own personal beliefs. I'll always remember the loved ones in my life who responded in supportive ways. Thank you for letting me share my journey with you. Yes, I wore them every day, every night since I was 19 years old. So glad you got out, man. Well, what are you doing these days? Like, what do you do for work? I'm sorry, what? I thought we'd shift gears a little bit. What do you do for work? Do you have a family? No, yeah, but why are you asking me about things that aren't about ex-Mormonism? I mean, we can talk about that more if you want. Oh yeah, please, because that's my whole personality. Not once.
I don't remember as a child ever questioning or thinking, man, this sounds crazy. Because I am a people pleaser at my core. And when you grow up in a household of a high demand religion, the way to be a good kid, the way to impress, is to believe, is to trust what your elders say. So no, I never questioned at all. I have a story, in fact, that demonstrates just how willingly I believed. I was about 12 years old. I was at church, and someone told me that they knew someone who didn't believe in God. I was shocked. I even said, look, if we open up the Bible, the first verse in Genesis says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. I was like, duh. That's how in it I was. Yeah, I was a believer. It took me until I was 40 years old to finally break through.
Where'd you learn to speak Spanish? I lived in Chile for 2 years when I was 19. But I'm not Mormon anymore. I left. I don't want the church to disappear from the face of the earth entirely. There are some silver linings to the church existing. For example, I like knowing that no matter how tight things get for me financially, it could always be 10% worse.
Hell yeah, man. Congratulations. That's amazing. Hell yeah.
Hey, you can say it however you want. Doesn't bother me. I say Chile because when I'm speaking English to English speakers, I speak English words. This is also why I say Peru, Argentina, Costa Rica, Mexico, because I don't want to sound like a pretentious prick. No God works in demonstrable ways. As a believer, I paid tithing, resulting in a 10% decrease in my take-home pay. As a non-believer, I stopped paying tithing, resulting in an 11% increase in my take-home pay. Maths. No God rewards better than yes God takes away. Nothing mysterious about that. Take control of your finances today. Renounce your religion and stop paying tithing. It worked for me, so it will work for you. And you don't even have to trust me. It's just basic math. Thanks again, no God. Spiritual experiences do not justify irrational belief. The fact that all religions apply this method and they continue to multiply rather than consolidate demonstrates the unreliability of this method. As a believer, nearly all of my irrational beliefs were based on spiritual experiences. A few examples: Joseph Smith being visited by supernatural beings, literal historicity of the Book of Mormon, Jesus Christ as a resurrected Savior and the Son of God, the existence of the Abrahamic God. Once I changed my mind on one of my beliefs that was upheld by spiritual experiences, the rest became volatile. Recognizing this and understanding the psychological phenomenon known as elevation emotion, I saw a pattern that every irrational belief I held was based on spiritual experiences I had had. I didn't lose my faith. I renounced it. I didn't renounce my faith in spite of all my spiritual experiences. I renounced my faith because of all my spiritual experiences.
Proves his existence just by looking around at everything. Whoa. Wait, God is construction? You're telling me that all this time, the God of the Bible has been construction? I mean, my experience with construction has not been good. It's unnecessarily destructive. It's unreliable. It makes a huge mess. Come on, our society puts way too much faith in construction. Oh, it all checks out. No, this cannot be real. Construction God was not part of my deconstruction. Deconstruction? What? It's time for our first episode of Cringe Factor, where you get to decide which is more cringy. Today we have two different comments from previous videos I've released. The first option is, okay, we got it. You turned from Jesus to Satan's self, flesh. So have most of the celebs plus politicians. Thanks for letting us know. For our second option, we have, again, be honest with the Ex-Mo community and tell them you left because you have the desire to bum jug. So what'll it be, TikTok community? Will it be option A or option B? Tell me in the comments, and good luck to the contestants. May the cringiest win.
Faith is not a virtue. Faith is only used as an argument for someone's position when evidence is absent. If I wanted to use faith as a reason to believe in things, I could literally believe in anything I want. And that is why
What the hell are you talking about?
And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. I took a walk through the woods yesterday, pondering all the beautiful memories I have of my childhood, when suddenly an old man's face appeared and said, "It is LDS doctrine that sexual transgression is second only to murder in the Lord's list of most serious sins." After briefly pondering this memory, I thought, the fuck? That's some seriously whack shit, bro. And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. Recently, someone asked me what it was like leaving a high-demand religion, and I shared with him a really good analogy. I told him, it feels like walking away from a coercive, abusive, narcissistic, dishonest, greedy, gaslighting, racist, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, oppressive, intrusive, jealous, lying, manipulative, boundary-breaking, brainwashing, money-sucking relationship. Wow, he said. That is a really good analogy. And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. I like to think of black holes as portals to God's kingdom. And if we could visit him there, we'd see his joyful face and hear his maniacal laughter as he slowly tortures all his sentient creations. And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. Considering the vastness of space, intelligent life is probably out there. And if that's true, we'll never find them, because intelligent life would hide from superstitious dumbasses like us. And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. If the atheists win and religion is eradicated from the world, I think it will be a very sad day for comedians.
Trauma tends to be something we experience when we end up in situations where we simply can't do what we need to do to be safe.
As a faithful young man in the Mormon Church, and having been deemed worthy by my priesthood leaders, I was called to serve a mission in a foreign country. I was gone for 2 years and served full-time. And then when I got home, I started noticing over the years a pattern. I was having a recurring nightmare that I was being called back to my mission. Sometimes I was the same age and just doing it over again. But other times I was my current age when I was having the nightmare, and this crept into my adulthood. So in my nightmares, I was having to tell my wife and children that I had to leave them for a while because the leaders of the church were telling me I needed to serve another mission. But here's the interesting part. 6 years ago, I became unconvinced that my church is true. And I walked away. And I haven't had that nightmare since. I wonder what that's all about. And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. Even though I'm critical of high-demand religions and the ways that they use childhood indoctrination to perpetuate their lies, a recent walk through the woods helped me find peace with my upbringing in a high-demand religion. In a moment of clarity, I recognized that given the chance, I would only change one part of my childhood, the high-demand religion part. 6 years ago, I walked away from my religion. 6 years ago, I walked away from childhood indoctrination. 6 years ago, I walked away from a cult. 6 years ago, I was the most honest and humblest I've ever been. 6 years ago, I did the bravest thing I've ever done, and I'm better for it now. But if it hadn't been for those who were talking about it 6 years ago, I might have felt more alone. So right now, I'll talk about what I did 6 years ago for those who are doing it today. And if you don't like it, you can either wait until I'm saying 7 years ago, or you can unfollow me now.
The best way to spot an idiot: look for the person who is cruel. Let me explain. When we see someone who doesn't look like us, or sound like us, or act like us, or love like us, or live like us, the first thought that crosses almost everyone's brain is rooted in either fear or judgment, or both. That's evolution. We survived as a species by being suspicious of things that we aren't familiar with. In order to be kind, we have to shut down that animal instinct and force our brain to travel a different pathway. Empathy and compassion are evolved states of being. They require the mental capacity to step past our most primal urges. This may be a surprising assessment because somewhere along the way in the last few years, our society has come to believe that weaponized cruelty is part of some well-thought-out master plan. Cruelty is seen by some as an adroit cudgel to gain power. Empathy and kindness are considered weak. Many important people look at the vulnerable only as rungs on a ladder to the top. I'm here to tell you that when someone's path through this world is marked with acts of cruelty, they have failed the first test of an advanced society. They never forced their animal brain to evolve past its first instinct. They never forged new mental pathways to overcome their own instinctual fears. And so, their thinking and problem solving will lack the imagination and creativity that the kindest people have in spades. Over my many years in politics and business, I have found one thing to be universally true. The kindest person in the room is often the smartest.
I used to be a big fan of Goofy. Big Goofy guy. And you're not anymore? What happened? I guess the whole foolish dog thing just kind of ran its course. Did you just call Goofy a dog? Goofy's totally a dog. Goofy is not a dog. Okay, I mean, I don't care, but why do you have such a problem? Goofy walks on two legs. Do you know any dogs that walk on two legs? Okay, I'm not arguing with you. You do realize it's a cartoon though, right? Are you just ignoring Pluto's existence? We know what a dog looks like in the Disney universe. Stop calling Goofy a dog. Are you okay? Goofy is not a dog. Pluto is. Turn to Pluto. Merry 4th of July, everyone. Today in American history, Jesus was born. And after being born, he immediately performed his first miracle by lighting a giant firework. When it blew up in the sky, it created the North Star. This is why we have the North Star. What most historians don't know is that shortly after, Jesus turned to his mother Mary and said, "Vroom, vroom," which sparked the idea of the American pickup truck. So please celebrate responsibly while we await his second coming, which will happen in Jackson County, Missouri. Happy 4th.
What's the cringiest vinyl decal you've ever seen? I'll go first. Into the bathroom here of a family cabin. Sneaking around the door, and here you have it. Ew! I dare you. I dare anyone to top this. It's not there. There's nothing cringier than this. I know that Joseph Smith is a true prophet. I know that Harry Potter is a true wizard. I love coffee. I couldn't resist the temptation of coffee. I tried it and became addicted. Now Satan has me in his clutches, and I'm filled with pride, so that I'll never return to the church, even though I know it's true in my heart. And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. Today, I found a beautiful tree and sat down beside it. I believed for a moment the branches of this tree could spread across the whole globe, protecting the children from all the harmful things that can happen to them in this world. Then I came back to reality and remembered that every day, hundreds of millions of children are indoctrinated to believe in the religion of their parents. So I was like, what the fuck, tree? I believed in you. You never did shit for the children. Fuck you, tree. I choose to believe. I am insecure about my beliefs. Sin is fake. It's made up by religions to control the behavior of its adherents. I wanted to sin, so I say it's made up to feel better about myself and clear my conscience. Tithing works. I've tested it.
Confirmation bias works. I'm swimming in it. There's nothing immoral about adults having consensual sex. I'm a wild, unhinged sex guy now. I do the sex everywhere. I'm sexing all the time. Have you heard of the gospel topic essays? Can I tempt you with some anti-Mormon materials? Camden has made the decision to be baptized. The indoctrination worked on Camden. Joseph Smith was a sexual predator. I'm so deceived I'm speaking ill of the very Lord's anointed. I'll pray for you. I'll do nothing for you.
I'm fine! Totally fine! I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
It's amazing. The prayer that you said had nothing to do with it. You earned that. Well done.
Thank you, Alan. But also, thanks again, no God. I was having kind of a rough day, but I didn't pray all day long for a message of hope and clarity. The day was nearing its close, and I thought, does no prayer even work? Is no God even there? Then I was reminded how important no faith is. No God answered my no prayer through TikTok. How could I have lost the no faith even for a nanosecond? When I look around me, all I see is no God. I hope I never forget that again, but I probably will. Thankfully, no God delivers tender luckies to those who are carefully not listening through amazing no believers like Alan. Alan's message was simple, clear, and uplifting. Thanks for being a true follower of no God. Thanks again, no God.
There's not one single truth claim upon which the church's being true rest that isn't problematic, and more than that, that the evidence isn't in more favor of the critic than the believer. Every single one. Name one truth claim that is the evidence supports the believer more. Not one. And everybody's free to believe in absurdity. I can't stop someone from believing in a flat earth or not a moon landing or Bigfoot's in their backyard or aliens come down their chimney. People get to believe whatever they want. But this idea that you can choose to believe, when I wrote those emails to you early on, I wrote it to you as if the proposition was neutral. There was just as much evidence on one side as the other. What fell apart was that I realized that was the narrative the church gave me. And that when I actually examined the issues, the scale was so lopsided that I had no choice but to disbelieve, to the point where if I asked you to believe in leprechauns or unicorns, you intuitively acknowledge, you intuitively understand that your brain can't get there. You can't believe leprechauns and unicorns because your brain recognizes it's too absurd. For me, Mormonism is the same. It is so absurd, my brain can't make room that it's true. It's so lopsided. It's not close. They let you think it's close. It's not close.
Hi neighbors, just checking in to see how you're doing. How are you? Hi scary people, just checking in to see if your hearts have softened and report back to the bishop. How are you? I'm feeling pretty down lately. It's been a rough couple weeks. It seems my temporary happiness has run out. The prophets were right. Maybe the church is true. That's not the experience I've had in the church. I only validate stories that confirm my beliefs. It's nice to live without all the shame. I do shameful things.
Okay, deconstructors, listen up. I've got a tip for you. If you're like me, you might get triggered by saying certain names of people in church history. So I use this little trick. By the way, these are going to be Mormon-based, but they can work for any religion. Instead of saying the name of the person that triggers you, say something that's very similar, but not the name. So, for example, I don't say Joseph Smith. I say Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith. I don't say Brigham Young. I say Brigham Young. You see what I'm doing there? I don't say Dallin H. Oaks. I say bigot. It's less subtle, but it still works.
Oh look, we have an honest question from an ex-mo. How long do you think it will be before you define yourself by something else? Okay, first of all, to anybody else watching, this is the same guy that a few comments ago said that he knows me, 50 to 75% knows me, because supposedly he's looked all over online to find out information about me. Not only is that impossible, but that's also creepy as fuck. But in order to get to the question, fine, here's my answer.
I don't know how long I will continue making content on TikTok about ex-Mormonism. Maybe when people stop messaging me, telling me how much they enjoy the content and how helpful they find it. Maybe when the church stops indoctrinating children all over the world to believe in a ridiculous belief system that's harmful and marginalizes large groups of people, sexist and racist and all that other stuff. Or maybe when people like you stop making dumb comments like this, demonstrating that you're uncomfortable with my message. Which brings me to a couple of thoughts and then a question for you. You say you're an ex-Mormon, but I'm unconvinced. Because in the brief interaction we had, and then the continued obsession that you have with my content, you've judged my whole personality off of an iota of information. And you have the narcissistic perspective that the way that you have chosen to live your life is the way that everybody else should choose to live theirs. Red flag, these are all traits of Mormon zealots, not just your run-of-the-mill Mormon. So either you're not an ex-Mo and you're lying, or you're an ex-Mo and you forgot to uninstall the firmware. Finally, a question for you. How long will you let my content control your life?
No God just left me sideways. I was down at the local recreation gym playing some pickup basketball with strangers, probably theists. They were pretty good, but they didn't have the power of no prayer in their corner. We were playing to 21, win by 2, down by 1. Ball came to me, I had a chance to win it with a 3. I think these theists suspected they were up against a no-goner, so they're playing rough. I found myself open for a 3-pointer for a split second, and I took the opportunity. "Stop that atheist," they shouted. One of them came in hard, not even going for the ball, knocked me completely sideways on the shot, but I let her fly. Nothing but net. I showed those theists the power of no prayer. I'll remember forever the time that no God lucked me sideways. Thanks again, no God.
I'm super excited. It was really tough. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was definitely a different ball game, but I had a blast, so thank you.
I'm ex-Mormon because I want to be on the right side of history. For roughly 2,000 years, Christians have been expecting the return of Jesus Christ. Billions of people have been born into and indoctrinated to hold this ridiculous set of beliefs as unquestionably true. Children are groomed, indoctrinated, and conditioned to believe in men rising from the dead, oceans being parted, all of life's animals being stuffed into a boat because of a global flood. And in my case, racism and sexism are all just part of God's plan and his church. And it's totally cool that a 37-year-old man marry a 14-year-old girl because, trust me, bro, I'm a prophet of God. So when my children and grandchildren and their children look back and learn that they come from a long line who are victims of a cult, I'll be the disruption in the line. I'll be the one that stepped away, providing them a chance to be free from the chains of toxic religious traditions where they can practice their own personal, authentic version of spirituality without the dehumanizing, harmful responses that religious zealots are conditioned to react with. I'm an ex-Mormon because truth, not lies, because critical thinking, not dogma, because love and acceptance, not fear and exclusivity. I'm an ex-Mormon because I'm an ally. I'm an ex-Mormon because I'm a seeker of truth. I'm an ex-Mormon because I want a more accepting and loving future. I'm an ex-Mormon because I'm a pioneer.
I strive to bear witness of him in my countenance. I strive to blah 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 of him in my blah blah blah. I feel it with every fiber of my being. I feel it with every fur of my fur. He saw two personages above him. He saw two personage, what the culty fuck is a personage?
Typically I ignore this kind of comment because this person does not know me from Adam God. It's not worth my time. But today I was trying to think of a tactful way to let my audience know ways that they could support me if they want me to continue being able to make content. So thank you, user 3836430127192. You will now know a little bit more about my personality, and others will know how to support me. I have 2 other accounts on TikTok, maybe a 4th one coming soon. One of them is an account of my personal story about learning how to ride scooters. Early on in that journey, I realized that there was an opportunity for someone to make better ramps for scooter riders and skateboarders. So I started a business, and now I have a little side hustle selling these ramps. So that's the second thing you could do. You could follow this account, which is my side hustle. Again, no one has to do this. If you have interest in supporting me in additional ways, or you are interested in the product, then great. Go over there and follow Launch Ramps. Quick spill on the ramp and we're done. If you have an interest in skateboarding, scootering, BMX, MTB, one wheel, RC, Sur-Ron, and even small motorbikes, then this ramp might be something cool for you to consider. That's it. So if you're interested, please follow me at those 2 accounts. And by the way, I don't have 1,000 followers on my Launch Ramps account yet. I would love to be able to do lives so that I can show this ramp in action. So please go over there and let anybody know if they're interested in any of those sports. Last thing I promise, I have another hobby and it's been nagging at me to maybe start creating content about board gaming too. This is something that I have a passion for. If you would like me to start a channel on board gaming, then maybe say something in the comments. Thanks and much love to you all.
Hi! Have you ever looked back on your life and thought, what the hell was I thinking? For example, did you ever believe in the tooth fairy? Or that reindeer can fly? Or breaking a mirror brings 7 years bad luck? Or there's a loving God in heaven who created everything and then was so disappointed in his own creation that he decided the most loving thing to do was to drown every last motherfucker on earth? No? Yeah, me neither. I'm doing great, never been happier, thanks for asking. I'm lying, life sucks now, thanks for rubbing it in. We just have to love those who leave the church. It's all we can do. We have to remind ourselves to love those who leave the church, because dehumanizing them is all we've been programmed to do. I love not going to church on Sundays. I love being lazy and selfish on Sundays. That's when faith becomes important. That's when evidence stops being important. Why don't you just move on with your life? I'm trying to mask my judgment on you as concern for you. I recognize that this isn't the story for everyone, but I was very happy as a believing Mormon. I loved knowing the answers to the big unknowns. I loved the certainty that came with my beliefs. I enjoyed the comfort that came from thinking that I had everything I needed to know. So when I left, I lost a lot, and it took me a while to recover from that, but eventually I did. I recovered and I got better. So when people ask me if I had the choice to go back, unlearn everything I've learned, and be a true believing Mormon again, would I take that option? The answer is a hard and fast no. And it's not because I wasn't happy. I honestly was. But it is because I'm honestly way happier now. And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. I think an effective way to avoid unhealthy arguments about religion is to think and ask questions like a child. So the next time someone says to you, Jesus died for our sins and he loves you, try responding with a question like, can I have a popsicle?
Did I? 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 Did I do?
Hi, did you double check yet? If not, maybe this will help.
There are over 30 states in this country that have priest penitent privilege laws in place, Utah being one of them. So literally the church is the law in Utah. They have decided for themselves that they have the right to hide this kind of abuse. But I mean, churches, evangelical churches, the Catholic Church, they all use this priest penitent privilege to be able to hide and cover up childhood abuse. The Catholic Church has fought to protect these laws in multiple states, one being California. The Mormon Church has fought to protect that law, to keep it in place too. It's just now being talked about because of this Arizona Supreme Court case. But this has been going on for forever. So many of these states have given the right to churches to hide abuse. No other entity within America has this right. As a therapist, a school counselor, police officers, everybody has to report cases of childhood abuse that they learn about. We only allow churches to have this right. But the Mormon Church certainly is not the first to become legally unsafe for children. Ever since this first law went into place, they have all been legally unsafe for children because they allow for abuse to be hidden.
I guess the only remaining question is, who told you that? And what were their motives?
Is where the shooting took place. It appears FBI agents were here to arrest a man accusing him of threatening to kill the president. This video, shared with Fox 13 News, shows FBI agents outside 75-year-old Craig Robertson's home.
I woke up and there was just like a lot of shouting, a lot of just kind of loud bangs, because I think they were trying to get him to wake up and trying to go ahead and like get him out of his house.
John Michael Lasola is a neighbor who saw some of what happened.
They just kind of pulled him out there on the driveway, and we just, like, some people looked like they were tending to him, and then it was clear that he was gone.
FBI agents were apparently serving an arrest warrant for Robertson. The U.S. Attorney's Office for Utah had charged him on Tuesday with threatening the life of federal agents and the President of the United States. Federal prosecutors included social media posts starting last year where Robertson is accused of making numerous public threats against President Biden and other political leaders, including some where he specifically says President Biden is coming to Utah and he's going to dust off his ghillie suit and sniper rifle. Photos from Robertson's Facebook page in 2009 show him with such a setup and practicing. Federal agents write in charging documents they believe he was serious. What exactly transpired, the FBI will not say beyond confirming an agent-involved shooting around 6:15 Wednesday morning. In a statement, the FBI says the incident began when special agents attempted to serve arrest and search warrants at a residence. The subject is deceased. The FBI takes all shooting incidents involving our agents or task force members seriously.
They've been one of my best friends for 40 years. I mean, the neatest guy in the world. He would do anything to help anyone. He's an amazing guy. He was strong in the church. Just a very loving guy. I mean, we've been brothers just basically for years. And when the news is not correct, I mean, Craig would do anything to help people.
Have you seen his social media posts where he threatened to kill the president?
He says these things, but I had no idea that he would carry it out, did it?
Now, his friend tells me he knew Robertson had issues with the government, but he cannot fathom this.
Now, I'm not here to tell anybody what you should or shouldn't do. But if you're part of an institution where the man at the top says he speaks for God, red flag, run away. But if you're still sticking around and you find out that something that man at the top said was wrong, and I don't care when he said it, red flag, run away. Now, if you're still with this institution who has a man that claims he speaks for God, and then you see that he was wrong, and you start pointing out that they were wrong, and they respond with things like, we never said that when they did. We've always said that when they haven't. Those were different times. That was never the doctrine. We never said prophets were infallible. I don't know why I go to Sean Connery for apostle impersonations, but if they're saying those things to you, they're gaslighting you. Red flag, run away. And if you point out their gaslighting and they say to you, the church is perfect, but the people are not, they are blaming you for the problems. Red flag, run away. And if you're still sticking around, but then you find out that they're using your tithing money under the cover story that it will be used for charitable purposes, but really it's going into Wall Street investment reserves and commercial real estate projects for astronomical gains to hoard hundreds of billions of dollars while using the smallest fraction for actual charitable purposes, that is a huge red flag. Run away. You still haven't run away? Okay, fine. You discover then that they've been covering up sexual abuse cases since forever and involved in guarding laws that allow clergy to not report child SA cases to authorities, essentially creating a safe haven for sexual predators. Please see that as a fucking red flag and run away. Okay, and if after all that and so much more, you don't see the red flags and you find peace and still like staying, at the very least, recognize that it's based on feelings. which we all know are not reliable for determining what is capital T true. And you can stick around. Obviously, no one can tell you what you can or can't do. But at least understand that those who walk away have very good reasons to do so. They've seen red flags, and they've been courageous enough to run away. This is what a Starbucks drink run for your workplace looks like when your workplace is in Lehi, Utah. I have never seen that much color in 4 drinks from Starbucks. This guy's going to hell. Whenever someone says to me, my beliefs are sacred and you need to respect them, what I really want to say to them is, no, I don't. In fact, I think we have a moral obligation to criticize and disrespect bad beliefs. And I can do this without disrespecting you, because you are not your beliefs. In fact, I think you are a whole lot more than your beliefs. But every time, before I say it, I take a deep breath. And I think, is this really something that I want to say to this person right now? And without fail, I then think, yeah, that tracks. And then I say it.
I love TikTok. I thought there was going to be a lot of debate about the topic of my last video. Turns out it was more about who I sound like when I'm doing a GA voice. I said Sean Connery, but a lot of people said Jim Carrey. We had some Richard Nixon, blend of a few different general authorities. So I'm just gonna own it and call it my general authority voice. Now, I don't know if this comment is actually meant to be a defense of the church or if you're just feeding me a line, but I'm gonna take it as the latter. Gospel is true, prophets are not. And now I'm filled with some interactive inspiration. If you have a line that you want me to say in GA voice, feed it to me. I'll be happy to oblige.
Thank goodness doctors don't think like this. Yeah, I don't know, doc. I have a terrible headache. It just doesn't seem to go away.
Have you tried ibuprofen?
Yeah, I mean, it helped a little temporarily.
Acetaminophen?
Yeah, same. I just think there might be something going on. What do you think's causing it?
Causes?
Causes are irrelevant. It's about the symptoms.
I was today years old when I found out that guys have to go into their doctor monthly to get their foreskin trimmed, just like a monthly haircut. And frankly, I'm pretty outraged at the American school system. Like, these are the things that kids need to be learning in sex ed. Do better.
I left the church. I'm fulfilling prophecy. You don't seem happy. You've lost the light in your eyes. I'm more concerned about protecting my beliefs than understanding what you're going through. Thanks for asking. My kids are 3, 6, and 8 years old. Thanks for asking. My kids are 8 years old. 8. Baptism age. 8. 8. Baptism. 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 I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm a member of the now I will say the whole damn name of the church. There goes half your day because I'm saying the whole damn name of the church. You might be late taking your kids to soccer practice this evening because I am saying the whole damn name of the church.
Hi! Have you ever looked back on your life and said, wowzers, that was dumb of me? For example, did you ever touch a hot stove? Send a text to exactly the wrong person? Or call your current partner the name of your former partner? Or give up 2 prime years of your life to coerce vulnerable people into joining a high-demand cult started by a sexual predator? No? Okay. Why?
I'm thinking of getting a tattoo. I left the church because I want to get a tattoo. I'm more of a whiskey guy than a beer guy. I left the church because I want to drink alcohol. The scriptures are a terrible source for morality, and boring to boot. I left the church because I wasn't reading my scriptures. I'm so glad I don't have to go to church on Sundays. I left the church because I didn't want to go to church on Sundays. I'm less racist and less sexist since I left the church. I left the church because I wanted to be less racist and less sexist. Wait. Here are 3 books I recommend for anybody walking away from their high-demand religions. Number 1, Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. My high-demand religion drastically affected the education I received growing up. When you go from believing that humankind is 6,000 years old
and it was started by one man and one woman in a garden, and the woman was created from a rib of the man. When you actually learn the roughly 200,000-year-old history of humankind, there's going to be some shock and surprises in that book. I felt like a kid again, and it was amazing to realize that this is the history based on the evidence, not based on myth. I learned so much about why humans are the way they are, and it helped me make sense of a world that wasn't making sense for a moment because I had the rug pulled out from under me in terms of my fundamental beliefs and worldview. Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. Number 2, The Demon-Haunted World by Carl Sagan. Now, this could be legend, but rumor has it when Carl Sagan was working on this book, there was leadership in the Mormon church who was so uncomfortable with the book that he was creating that they tried to fight it before it even came out. Whether that's true or not, they would have been right to try to fight it, because this book doesn't just challenge our thoughts about religion, it challenges our thoughts about the supernatural. It helps the reader understand why humans are so superstitious about the supernatural, but it also helps us understand why any belief in the supernatural is unsubstantiated. That's The Demon-Haunted World by Carl Sagan. Number 3, The Magic of Reality by Richard Dawkins. This book was written for a younger audience, but to be honest, when I walked away from my high demand religion, even though I was 40 years old, I had the scientific mind of a child. This book was exactly what I needed. Dawkins explains why we shouldn't just go along with the masses and why humans are so prone to falling into belief traps. He also lays out why it's so important to be evidence-based and data-driven in our decisions that we make about our beliefs. When humans walk away from high-demand religion, they're vulnerable to being ensnared by another cult or high-demand religion. This book does a great job of teaching you how to put your defenses up and to protect you against that as you brave the wilderness. This is a weekend or maybe 2 weekend read that could change your life. The Magic of Reality by Richard Dawkins. I plan on sharing more books that have helped me in my journey. If you find this useful, like and follow. Here's a culty phrase: line up on line, precept upon precept. If you haven't been Mormon before, you're probably like, what does that even the fuck mean? Right? Mormons love using this one, especially when you point out to them that historical doctrine contradicts with current doctrine. For the believer, it's a good response to say, hey, God teaches us the things that we need to know when we need to know them. And he taught that then, and now he teaches this now. It just makes sense to people in the in crowd. So not only is it a culty in term or phrase, it's also a thought stopper. Because anybody they're talking to is going to be like, what? But those people just forgot that cults are going to cult. The culting keeps culting. It's a culty thing. They're just culting along. Have a non-culty day. Buckle up, all you culty curious. This one's a doozy. I dare say no term is more cringy in the entire cultiverse than this one from the Mormons. Moisture. If it as much as sprinkles outside, you'll hear about the moisture in your next prayer. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the moisture you've given us. With a record winter in Utah last year, moisture mentions would have been through the roof on Sundays. Can you believe all this moisture? Our prayers for moisture have been answered. It's nice to finally have moisture. I shit you not, culty curious. This is real. Mormons are obsessed with moisture. People, please stop saying moisture. Why are we saying moisture? I guess it's just a culty thing. Something you say when you're culting. Spreading a little cultish around. And moisture is just one of those things to cult about. Please, have a cult-free day. Hey, I thought of something else that I miss about being Mormon. Oh yeah? What is it? Wait, is it as weird as last time? No. Okay, what? I miss always being nourished and strengthened. Say what? Nourished and what? What are you talking about? As a Mormon, every meal, you're guaranteed to be nourished and strengthened. What does that even mean? Nourished? You're eating a meal. Of course you're going to be nourished. No, but it's different, bro. You're like really nourished. I thought you said this wasn't going to be weird. It's not weird. Nourish and strengthen. That's just what you get as a Mormon. Okay, strengthen what? Well, strengthen, yeah, like strengthen your loins. And your sinews? Bro, that's normal, right? Just strength in the loins and in the sinews? And power in the priesthood be upon me and upon my posterity through all generations of time and throughout all eternity. A year ago today, I sat right there and asked you, the TikTok community, to join me in support for those who are in mental health crisis because they're going through a faith deconstruction. 1,000 followers so I can help those who may be in a mental health crisis. Not only did we reach that 1,000 goal in less than a month, now, 365 days later, we're sitting at 12.4 thousand followers.
I want to thank everyone who has jumped on board in support of those who are deconstructing. Thank you for your stories. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your likes, follows, the guest requests, shares. Thank you for your sincere DMs letting me know that I'm helping you. Thank you for your willingness to speak up against the institution. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your vulnerability and your humility. Thank you for your knowledge that you share. Thank you for the tears, but mostly, thank you for the laughs. My first year on TikTok has been a hell of a ride, and it's all thanks to you. Much love, Deconstructors.
And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. If I had been around during Jesus' time and witnessed any of his great miracles, I hope I would have had the wits to ask, is anybody writing this down? To which I suspect most people would have responded, what does writing this down mean? And I would have said, I don't know, I just had the wits to ask it.
Tell me you're afraid of something without telling me you're afraid of something. Oh, this one's easy. Just put so-called in front of the thing you're afraid of. I don't follow. Yeah, if you're afraid of something and you need to say it, putting so-called in front of it marginalizes it instantly. Does that really work? It works for the people who trust you, but for those who don't trust you, it just serves as a long list of things you're afraid of. You have any examples? I'm so glad you asked.
The so-called needs of women. So-called accomplishment. The so-called good life.
So-called authenticity.
So-called realism.
So-called truths.
So-called individual freedom.
So-called gays and lesbians.
So-called same-gender marriage.
So-called ways of the world.
So-called friend.
The so-called information age. So-called chat room. So-called learner. So-called intellect. So-called intellectuals. So-called experts.
So I feel like this video is a good visual representation of what it's like to go through a faith crisis. This is me, ready to dive into some church history, but I'm not worried because I've got my skateboard, which is my testimony. It should catch me just fine as I... Oh, but then right there, my testimony just kind of went out of the picture and I was kind of left alone. It hit the ground hard and I felt a little disoriented for a bit, to be honest. I'm about to show you irrefutable evidence that no God is real. See, you might have heard of people claiming to see Jesus in their toast, but when we ask those people how many times they've seen Jesus in their toast, they always say, once. And in order for me to believe things, it needs to be demonstrated over and over. And that's when I realized I was collecting a data set since January that could prove to everyone that no God is real. See, I've been making coffee on this espresso machine for 10 months, and I've been working on my latte art all that time. Latte art means opportunities for no God to demonstrate that no God is real. Roll the evidence. See, I've been taking pictures of every one of my latte arts for almost a year, and you'll notice something that's consistent about every single one of them. I see no God. 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 No God shows up every time. No God. No God. If this isn't enough to convince you, then I don't know what will be. But just in case that's not enough, consider this. Latte has 5 letters. What else has 5 letters? Let's start with TT. Obviously that stands for TikTok, which is like a clock, which is what you would also say to someone when you want them to go. So we can just switch TT with go. And the rest of the puzzle is just rhyming. Take law, and what rhymes with law? Obviously nah, and nah is just another word for no, so we can replace law with no. And with E, the closest rhyming letter in the alphabet is D, so we can replace E with D. And what do we have? So we see no God in every latte I make, and latte is obvious code for no God. How does it get any more obvious? Open your eyes, people, and open your mind. If you do, I promise you'll see no God in every direction. Thanks again, no God.
How to Troll a Mormon, Part 1. If you have Mormon friends and you want to mess with them, this series is for you. Here are 3 things you can say to a Mormon in regular conversation that will send them into a stupor of thought. Stop saying okay, yes, or yeah to your Mormon friend. Start saying, it is well. At first, they may act like it's no big deal, but I promise you, if you keep using it, it's gonna get awkward. They might even ask you who your informant is, or how much you know. The next time your Mormon friend calls you on the phone, don't say hey, hi, or what's up. Say, what is wanted? You should fully expect this to create a pause or a choke up. The discomfort may ooze from your phone. Do not miss an opportunity to do this in person as well, so you can see the awkwardness on their faces. If you're with a Mormon and you need to go somewhere and it's in any way a downward direction, please take the opportunity to say to that person, we will go down. For example, you're on top of a mountain after a hike, you've looked at the view for a while, it's time to start heading back down the trail. You turn to your Mormon friend and say, we will go down. Bonus example, if you're in a mixed faith relationship with a Mormon, this is a very interesting line for business time. If you're wondering whether I'll do more videos in this series, it shall be done. How to Troll a Mormon, Part 1B, an explanation video to Part 1. Important side notes. Not all Mormons will be shocked or offended by these phrases. The older or more orthodox the Mormon, the more likely it is to create some shock. It won't work on children either, because these are only phrases that came from the temple ceremonies. Generally, you have to be 18 years or older to even enter the temple and receive the endowments. With that out of the way, let's talk about each phrase. It is well. In the temple ceremony, you watch a movie that explains the creation of the world. There's a lot of back and forth between God, Elohim, and Jesus, Jehovah, and Adam because they're doing this big work in 6 days. Every time God sends them down to organize the matter that is unorganized and create the earth, they tell them they will return and report. And then when they come back and return and report, God says to them, it is well. And that just kind of ends the labors of that day and they move on to the next day. What is wanted? This one of the 3 probably generates the most shock value. The reason for that is it occurs at one of the most crucial moments in the temple ceremony. After you've been educated and watched this video and learned a bunch of things about how to interact with the Lord at the veil in the temple, you then approach the veil and there is a man on the other side of a curtain who then says to you, what is wanted, and it's a way of starting the conversation at the veil. The veil is considered to be one of the most secret/sacred moments in the whole temple ceremony. By veil, I mean a thin curtain. We will go down. Similar to the first phrase where Adam and Jesus report back to God and tell him, and then he tells them that it is well. Here, after he tells them what to do at the start of each day, they say to God, we will go down, in order to go and do the work of that day. That's where those 3 phrases come from. Now, there was some discussion in the comments from the last video. Someone claimed that all of this is in the scriptures, so it's not as though it's sacred. I was raised in a version of Mormonism that scared me from sharing anything about the temple ceremony once I left the building. Raise your hand if you're with me. And I didn't even go during the harshest time. Every generation before me did something similar to death oaths if they revealed anything about the sacred secrets. Today, people are definitely loosening up on temple ceremony revealing, and I consider that a good sign. It means less orthodoxy and less dogma, and that's a win for everyone. How to Troll a Mormon, Part 2. Here's 3 phrases that will signal to your Mormon friends you know more than you should. The next time the topic of money comes up among your Mormon friends, don't miss the chance to say, you can buy anything in this world with money. If you say it with a pause like that, they're gonna know that you know, and you know that they know that you know. And it's fun. And it's common that the next phrase will come up in the same conversation if you're talking about how much you have of something, money or anything else. Answer with, we have sufficient for our needs. They're gonna know that you know. The last one is a classic. The next time you're eating anything and you take a bite and it tastes good, say, it is delicious to the taste and very desirable. If you're at a dinner table and someone is Mormon at the end of the table and they hear you say that phrase, they are going to turn their heads and wonder how you got there. And since you're at the dinner table, here's one more bonus one. If you find yourself in a situation where you're handing fruit to someone, say, here is some of the fruit of that tree. The best part about here is some of the fruit of that tree is it precedes it is delicious to the taste and very desirable. So when you say here is some of the fruit of that tree, you know in their head what's playing is it is delicious to the taste and very desirable. Literally cueing a line to run in their brains. Now I'd like to start hearing from some of the people who have used these. Please return and report your labors.
Hell yeah, man. Congratulations, dude. That's amazing. Hell yeah.
How to Troll a Mormon Part 2b. This one explains Part 2. A couple of side notes again. Many Mormons have stepped in and said, these don't bother me at all. Awesome. You're the chill ones. Someone asked, should I use this on my boss who's a Mormon? I recommend not. If you have an important relationship to uphold here, maybe just avoid it. Unless you know they're chill. Chill Mormons will laugh with you and probably joke right back, and that's awesome. Kudos to chill Mormons. Okay, let's get into it. Here are the 3 phrases from Part 2 and their explanations. You can buy anything in this world with money. And we have sufficient for our needs. I put these 2 together because they happen in the same conversation. Again, all 3 of these phrases come from the video that is shown in the temple during an endowment ceremony. In this moment, in the story that's told in the video, Adam and Eve have been cast out of the Garden of Eden, and they're just kind of hanging out, and Satan's there chilling with them. God says, Peter, James, and John, go down and talk to Adam and Eve. So Peter, James, and John come down, and they talk to Adam and Eve and say, what's going on? What's being taught? And Satan tries to interject a couple times, and at one point Peter says to Adam, do you have signs and tokens? And I guess this makes Satan think of money. So Satan asks Peter, have you any money? Which is another great troll, by the way. And Peter says, we have sufficient for our needs. Then Satan sort of slithers around him and says, you can buy anything in this world with money. The next 2 phrases happen when Eve presents the apple to Adam in the Garden of Eden. This is after Eve has already been tempted by Satan and she has partaken. So Satan says, now go and get Adam to partake. When Eve approaches Adam with the fruit, I don't think it's an apple, she says, here is some of the fruit of that tree. It is delicious to the taste and very desirable. And the conversation goes on and ultimately Adam partakes. So now, like I said in the previous video, you know. And now that you know, you can know that they know that you know, and you know that they know. So have fun. This is a special episode of How to Troll a Mormon. In this series, we talk about phrases you can use in regular conversation with your Mormon friends that will troll them or just shock them. In today's special episode, we're going to talk about a great moment in Mormon trolling history. In 2013, a brave Mormon troller broke what I think is the world record for the most number of Mormons trolled at once. You may have heard of him before. The man's name is Tyson Apostle. In 2013, he was a contestant on the Survivor TV show. In episode 11, the contestants had a chance to choose whether they wanted to gain immunity by facing a physical challenge or feasting on a feast. Tyson chose to feast. And that's when this happened.
That's very tender. Katie's bucket's starting to drop a little. How's the food? Delicious to the taste and very desirable. Keep it up, guys.
Bravo, Tyson. Now, I've done some math. Season 27, episode 11, scroll over to US viewers, 8.81 million. Now I need to know how many Mormons there were in the US in 2013. The closest I could find was a 2009 Pew article that said 1.7% of US population as Mormon. So let's do that math. Let's see, 1.7% times 8.81 million, and we get 149,000. Let's roll up to 150K. 150,000 Mormons trolled in one instant. I declare this a world record, and if anyone has a better claim, I demand to hear it. Tyson Apostle, if you're out there, I want to interview you. What you did was legendary. The first question I have for you is that your real last name? Because if so, you were born for that role. The second question would be, how does it feel to be a legend among Mormon trollers? How to Troll a Mormon Part 3. In this series, I give you phrases that you can use in regular conversation with your Mormon friends that will either troll, trigger, or just make your Mormon friend laugh. Today, we're going to do things differently. I'm going to give you 3 questions that you can ask your Mormon friends to determine whether or not they are chill or trolled. When you say something from the temple ceremony to a Mormon, sometimes they get uptight about it. Other times they'll laugh and joke right back in, maybe even give you the next line. Those are the chill ones, and you're about to learn 3 questions you can ask to determine if your Mormon friends are chill. Here's the first question. Have you any money? If your friend answers with, we have sufficient for our needs,
Chill. You got a chill Mormon friend. Any other response, especially if it's uncomfortable and they avoid it? Trolled. As always, I encourage you to use these in regular conversation. Don't just spring these on them without a warning. Wait until it's an appropriate moment. Second question you can ask your Mormon friends to see if they're chill. Has it a name? Chill answer? It has. Anything else? Trolled. Last question. Is there no other way? Chill answer? There is no other way. Anything else? Trolled. I hope this helps you determine whether or not your Mormon friends are chill. If they aren't, you've trolled them. Have fun!
I'm here at Moochie's. I'm a Shane at Moochie's. The only thing that can make my experience better is to have another Shane at Moochie's.
Two Shanes?
Two Shanes.
Two Shanes.
Shane did not bring the whiteboard, but I was hoping he would. It could have enhanced some of the lunchtime conversation.
I do tend to travel with it everywhere I go. I just forgot it today.
So next time we're bringing the whiteboard.
We'll probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
You want to head home soon? Yeah, I'm ready whenever. Okay, I'm kind of nervous. Nervous? Why? I'm afraid of not traveling home in safety. What do you mean? Do you need me to drive? No, nothing like that. I used to always travel home in safety. Oh no, is this another weird ex-Mormon thing? When you go your whole life traveling home in safety and then you don't have that anymore, it's hard. Bro, we live 5 minutes away. That's 5 minutes of not traveling in safety. Okay, how about this? Hey, no God, please help us travel home in safety. Does that help? No. Come on, let's just go. At least it's not raining. Why would rain matter? Because Satan controls the waters?
Who am I? I just don't know if I know anymore. Who am I to ask a God that he respond to me, that as his child that he acknowledge me? Why would this monster hear my call? Remember that he drowned us all.
I learned that there's no God today.
When he's busy giving cancer,
Why would he kill his own creation?
enjoy the fame of all the killing in his name. What a God.
And now there's no to whom I pray. And no more guilt for masturbation.
This is a betrayal on levels that no one's ever seen!
How to Troll a Mormon Part 3. In this series, I tell you how to troll Mormons in regular conversation. By troll, I don't mean be a jerk. I mean mess with them a little bit. Have some fun. Chill Mormons are going to laugh and have some fun with you. Today's 3 phrases are perfect for the holiday season. If you're visiting family or friends, and some of them are Mormon, try this. When someone asks you to do something and you're going to do it for them, don't say, all right, I got it, okay. Say, it shall be done. And then follow it up with their name. So if you're talking to Becky, say, it shall be done, Becky. It's going to make any Mormon in earshot go like this. The next 2 phrases work great when it's time to leave wherever it is you're visiting. As you're headed toward the door to leave, wait for a moment till everyone can hear you and say out loud, we now go into the lone and dreary world. This works especially great when there's any kind of inclement weather outside. It will catch the attention of the Mormons in the room. They're going to be like, come on. And the last one, after you've walked out the door, make sure you turn around and say, we shall probably visit you again. It's going to be a wonderful final blow to an amazing exit. Have fun!
I used to be a believer in Christ. Now I'm an agnostic atheist, but I have a confession to make.
Sometimes when I'm feeling lost, I'll go grab my scriptures and thumb through them until I get to the back of my scriptures where years ago I left myself a personal note. It always makes me feel better. How to troll all the Mormons at your next white elephant party? Go to tenderluckies.com and pick up one of these for $9.99. Don't flip that number upside down. Or pick up a set of 2 for $16.66. And watch for the look on the faces of the Mormons in the room when somebody opens that gift. For the cherry on top, when somebody opens the gift, say, "What is that?" Have fun!
Ex-Mormon learns to swear.
Oh, damn.
Wait, was that the best time to use that? Can anyone tell I'm new to this? This is kind of hard.
Holy shit.
Okay, I sound like a turd. Was that a diphthong in there? What am I, from Utah? Wait, yeah, I am.
Oh my god.
I just said it. The big one. Oh my gosh. Wait, I can say it in my head now too. Oh my god. Ah! So weird!
What the fuck?
Why does everything feel so good right now?
Shut the F up! Shut the F up! Shut the F up! Shut the F up!
Hello friends, meet Shane Deconstructs, my first clone account, or impersonation account. Why do I call it impersonation account? Because according to TikTok's community guidelines, this is against the rules. We've got my face, we've got my videos, we got close to my name, and if we come over here to the community guidelines on TikTok under spam and deceptive account behavior, it says we do not allow account behaviors that may spam or mislead our community. This includes ... impersonation accounts. So I filed a report, as TikTok says to do. Within minutes, I got a response back that said, no violation found. So I have a question and some ramblings. The question is to TikTok. If this doesn't constitute an impersonation account, what does? Help me understand. My ramblings are, I would never suggest to the people watching this video to go and report the impersonation account that we see above. I would never suggest that. I would never ask such a thing of my followers. No, not this guy. Maybe that guy would, but not this guy.
We're Ex-Mos. We're Ex-Mos. We're Ex-Mos. We're gonna get that one tattoo. The one we've always wanted. We're gonna get it. Because we're Ex-Mos. We're gonna try coffee and hate it until somebody orders us a pumpkin spice latte. And then we're gonna love coffee. We're Ex-Mos. And we're gonna get another tattoo. We're gonna keep loving sugar. We were raised on that shiz. We're Ex-Mos. We're gonna go ahead and get the sleeve. We've been wanting more tattoos. We're just gonna go for the sleeve. We're Ex-Mos. We're gonna lean into swearing, all the bad words, but we're always gonna wonder if we're using them right. We're Ex-Mos. We're gonna come after your kids' faith, spread all the lies, do Satan's work, use all the slang. We're Ex-Mos. We're gonna join Ex-Mormon Reddit. We're gonna post a selfie certain someone will recognize us. No one will. At some point, we'll need to make sure people know we're over Ex-Mormon Reddit. We're gonna join all the Facebook groups. Because we're Ex-Mos. We're gonna get on TikTok. We're gonna listen to all the podcasts. And we're gonna learn the hard way that you can skip past the first 8 minutes of every Mormon Stories episode. We're Ex-Mos. We're gonna hate beer, but we're gonna say, yeah, it's not bad. We're Ex-Mos. No matter how quickly we threw out our garments, we're going to wish we did it sooner. And we're gonna have a blast trying on all sorts of new underwear. So many underwear. We're gonna find a guide or a shaman or just a weekend with our friends at the cabin to help us process all that trauma. We're gonna start planning little side hangouts. You know, you got your core groups, mix of believers and non-believers, but you're gonna start planning those little get-togethers with all the Ex-Mos so you can joke and laugh freely because we're Ex-Mos. Every time we pass a church house, we're going to want to flip it off. Sometimes we will. We're Ex-Mos. We're gonna play it cool around the family, but secretly, we want every one of them to lose their faith. and we are gonna cheer so damn hard for the nieces and nephews. When we meet someone new outside of Utah, we're gonna make sure that they know that we're Exmos. We're gonna use little code words when we're at social events to sniff each other out, because Exmos wanna find Exmos. We're going to trauma bond. Most of all, we're gonna live our lives proud that we escaped a cult. We're gonna look back at old us and be happy for new us. We're gonna be a soft place to land for those that continue to leave and walk away and become Exmos. We're gonna live better, judge less, love stronger. We're Exmos.
What is something totally useless that you still have memorized?
Health in the navel, marrow in the bones, strength in the loins and in the sinews, power in the priesthood be upon me and upon my posterity through all generations of time and throughout all eternity. If knowing the second token of the Melchizedek priesthood, the patriarchal grip or sure sign of the nail, with its accompanying name and sign, is in any way a way to get into heaven, then I'm going to be in heaven, folks.
How to Troll a Mormon, Part 5. In this series, I give you things to say to your Mormon friends to give them a hard time, and maybe make them think a little about how their beliefs are a little bit weird. I can say that because I used to be one. For the first time, today's trolling phrase does not come from the temple ceremony. It comes straight from the Book of Mormon. Whenever you're in conversation with a Mormon, you should never use the word white. You should always replace it with pure and delightsome. Some examples. Your Mormon friend asks, do you like white or black Teslas? You respond with, I like the pure and delightsome one. Do schools even use chalkboards anymore? I think they've been replaced by pure and delightsome boards. I'm dreaming of a pure and delightsome Christmas. You get the idea. Now, unlike other videos, I'm not going to make you wait until the next video for the explanation. See, the Book of Mormon is racist. It tells a story of a family that traveled from Jerusalem to the Americas around 600 BC. Generations passed and the civilization grows, but then divides into two, the righteous people and the unrighteous people. Unfortunately, the unrighteous are cursed with dark skin. Later, when a group of the unrighteous repents and returns to Jesus, their skin turns light again. If you think I'm making this up, let's look to the scriptures themselves. This is 2 Nephi 5, 21 through 23. This is where the iniquitous people are cursed for being iniquitous. For behold, they had hardened their hearts against him, and they had become like unto a flint. Wherefore, as they were white and exceedingly fair and delightsome, that they might not be enticing unto my people, the Lord God did cause a skin of blackness to come upon them. Oh, but wait, there's more of the story in 2 Nephi 30, because some of them repented. And then shall they rejoice, for they shall know that it is a blessing unto them from the hand of God, and their scales of darkness shall begin to fall from their eyes. And many generations shall not pass away among them, save they be a pure and delightsome people. Pure and delightsome? Wait, what happened to white and delightsome? And now we're getting to the reason why this is such a great troll. Before 1981, that line in the Book of Mormon read, white and delightsome. This is a clear demonstration of the church's gaslighting and its efforts to try and hide its ugly racist history. And now I'm curious to know about y'all's chocolate preferences. Do you like dark chocolate or pure and delightsome chocolate?
But look what Heavenly Father has done. See my skin? Isn't it pretty and white? Heavenly Father made my skin white. All righteous Lamanites now have a white skin. Isn't it wonderful? Oh, I look so pretty.
Alexa, play secular Christmas music.
Sorry, I'm having trouble finding Christmas music for apostate snowflakes.
What did you say, Alexa? Alexa, what?
Sorry, I can't hear you over all your crying since you left the church. Jesus loves you. You don't understand the doctrine. You were never a true Christian.
Are you just repeating all the theist trolls I have to deal with every day?
Shut up.
And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Mormon. Whenever I'm feeling unsure about the decisions I've made in my life, I try to remember that there are people in the world who put cornflakes on funeral potatoes. This always makes me feel more sure about the decisions I've made in my life.
Tell me why.
It never comes right out after you do this. It makes no sense. Then, like, how do you do, does someone have a better way? Because after this, I'll show you what I do. I like make an air gap in the side, right? And then I cut down it with the scissors. And it's just ridiculous. I feel like there could be a better way. Sometimes I have to scoop them out, like.
Hey, come here, look at me. Hey, look at me. What'd I say? No. Come here, look at me. Hey, look at me. No. Come here, look at me. Hey, look at me. What'd I say? No. Come here, look at, look at, you wanna get, no.
How to Troll a Mormon, Part 6. These are things to say to your Mormon friends that will probably stop the conversation dead in its tracks because you're not supposed to know these things. The next time you need your Mormon friend to agree to something, stop the conversation and say, bow your head and say yes. In the temple, Mormons are programmed to bow their head and say yes when they hear that phrase. The next time your Mormon friend tells you to do something or that you need to do something, turn to them and say, by what authority? In the temple video, the response to that question is, in the name of Jesus Christ, our master. So that's what will be playing in their heads. The next one is a lot of fun at dinner parties or family parties where you have Mormons in the midst. Next time you get caught eating something that you weren't supposed to eat, like maybe you're eating the food before it's ready for dinner, or maybe you ate something out of the fridge and it didn't belong to you and someone's like, hey, where'd my food go? Turn to the person and say, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. That will be a home run. Here's a nice little bonus one. Because we live in the age of the internet, anybody can look up online what the temple garment looks like. So you can, at any point, if you know that your Mormon friend is endowed in the temple, walk up to them and casually say, I know what your underwear looks like. Try those on your Mormon friends and tell me how it goes. Have fun!
I used to be a believer in Christ, and now I'm an agnostic atheist, but I gotta be honest. Sometimes when life deals me a tough question that I can't find the answer to, I'll get down on my knees and look under the couch for my phone where I can Google the answer. I don't know what I'd do without my phone.
Again, we're here. Very quick, very effective.
Hi, ma'am. It's a whole tornado outside. I know, I was already... Yeah, go on somewhere. We in cover.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Well, why are you still standing there, honey?
Yeah, I'm just...
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you okay?
Yeah, you okay? It's a tornado outside.
I'm just in the neighborhood.
Yeah, go home. What is goddamn scooter? Now this shit don't make no sense. You can't make this shit up.
Hey, hi. So, where are you from? I'm from Utah. Oh, are you Mormon? No, but I used to be. Are you answering questions? I am. I have so many questions. I know. Can I buy you a beer? You can. I have so many questions. I know.
Hey folks, I'm here again having another terrible day as a result of leaving my high-demand religion. Believers out there, consider this yet another warning. Do not walk away from your high-demand religions. What are you going to do on Sundays? If not go to 2 hours of meetings at 7 a.m., followed by 2 hours of church services, followed by 2 hours of worthiness interviews, followed by going home for dinner leftovers, followed by going to bed because the day is over. And on Mondays, what will you do if not family home evening? And Tuesdays, if not ministering at your assigned homes? And Wednesdays, if not oversee the weekly youth activities? And Thursdays, if not meet with church council to talk about people in your congregation who need reactivated? And Fridays, if not your weekly 2 hours of family history research. And Saturdays, if not clean the church, so it's ready for your 7 a.m. Sunday responsibilities, of course. And don't forget, Saturday is a special day. It's the day we get ready for Sunday. What will you do if not brush your clothes and shine your shoes so you can be ready for Sunday? I'm here to tell you all the blessings you can directly credit to God will go away when you stop offering just that tiny bit of your time each week. And I haven't even told you the worst part. The worst part, my faith over fact friends, is that I'm not absolutely certain of everything all the time anymore. There are actually times now when I say the words, I don't know, or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You got a lot of work to do?
Yeah. I gotta water grass, pick stuff up, pick sticks, chairs, all kinds of stuff up.
Joe's getting wise, telling Emma those lies. Emma's asking questions, wonder about intentions. Joe's prophesying, speaking line by line, telling Emma to listen, or God be dismissing. Section 1, 3, 2, what can she do? Heavenly destruction, practical version. Whispers in the night, Emma's losing sight. Dreaded the fight. She wrestles every night. Voices in her head, heart so full of dread. What's the path to tread? Secrets left unsaid. Section 1, 3, 2, what can she do? Heavenly construction, practical version. Voices in their head, hearts are full of dread. What's the path to tread? Secrets left unsaid. Section 1, 3, 2, what can she do? Heavenly destruction, practical version.
Believers make this argument all the time, that a doubting believer or a non-believer should just live as though God is real, just in case he is, because, what's there to lose by living a Christian life if in the end there's just nothing anyway? Nothing lost, right? But the flip side is that if I don't believe and God turns out to be real, then God will punish you for not believing in him. In philosophy, this argument is called Pascal's wager. It has several logical issues out of the gate. Like, is the God I'd be surprised to see upon my death even the correct God of all the religious God hypotheses out there? There are literally thousands of God beliefs, all claiming to be the true one. Statistically speaking, I'd be better off not choosing one and living a life of love, compassion, kindness. Then, when the time comes, make my case to that God that I lived the best I could and hope that that God judges me on my works, not just whether or not I worshiped him specifically. Another problem is, why would a loving God send any of his children to a place of eternal torture or unhappiness simply for not believing in him, in spite of the honest conclusion I came to from the evidence that was laid out before me during my life? Why would a compassionate God want me to live a lie that he put there for me to believe in? And that brings me to the biggest issue with this scenario. How is God not to blame for the way I lived my life? He created my brain, every little detail about it, and how I would respond to all that stimuli. God also created my environment, my family, my upbringing, my education, my friends, my world, all the things in my life that would ultimately influence my decisions later on. How is he not responsible for the result? And he knew what the end result would be because he's also supposedly all-knowing. And please spare me the response of free will, because free will or not, he still knew what the end result would be. So, in the moment that God judges me at the end of my life and intends to send me to an eternal torture because I didn't choose to believe in him, my only question to him is, why did you do this to me? Or maybe humans just invented God because they're uncomfortable with the unknown. Well, with this argument, I must concede. The day is yours, good sir. See, I thought I had you right where I wanted you in this debate, till I soon learned I was playing checkers and you were playing chess when you pulled out this impenetrable piece of argumentation and completely ripped the rug from under me. It's not fair. I was not expecting this level of intellectual prowess. Are you classically trained? Perhaps I should believe in a God after all. Because you, sir, have been endowed with a supernatural stratum of sensibility I simply cannot refute. The day is yours, good sir.
That is one big pile of shit.
I used to be a God-fearing man, and now I'm an agnostic atheist. However, I gotta be honest. In the moment I stopped believing, I was frightened. Frightened that perhaps I had just made a huge mistake, and Satan had deceived me. Thankfully, this didn't last long, because I immediately recognized Satan's made up too.
Welcome to Ex-Mormon Meditations. Find a seat, sit comfortably, and close your eyes. I want you to imagine being a helpless child, vulnerable and susceptible to the teachings of your parents. Imagine all that indoctrination being absorbed by your innocent brain. Breathe all of that experience in and hold it in for one last moment. Now exhale and say, fuck that. Now you're a teenager, locked into your religious beliefs, feeling guilty every day for your unrighteous thoughts and immoral desires. Breathe all of that frustration and unfairness in. Hold it one last time, and now exhale, saying, fuck that. Fuck it. Fuck all that. Fuck that all the way.
I'm fine. Totally fine. I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part. I didn't do fucking shit.
15,000 times a day.
I'm no longer Christian, but honestly, I miss the gift of the Holy Ghost. See, as a believer, I used to have access to spiritual warmth. And every time I felt it, it felt like a soft blanket was wrapped around me. Nowadays, when I feel the cold of the lone and dreary world, I reach for an actual blanket to feel real and measurable warmth. Turns out I like the measurable warmth more.
What's the harm, people say? Why not just let people have their groups and their religions and their AA? This is the harm. Many of us do not survive our childhoods in cults, like the Children of God or the Mormons. Of my 25 siblings, 3 of them are not alive. That's the harm. That's why we won't leave it alone. If it's valid, it stands up to scrutiny. And if speaking about the risks and the downsides of your organization harms the organization deserves to be harmed. Organizations should never be more important than human lives, but they almost always make themselves out to be and put themselves first. That's the harm.
How to Troll a Mormon Part 7. Here are 3 things you can say to your Mormon friends that will make them go, what the fudge? Number 1, has it a name? The next time you're in conversation with a Mormon and you're talking about someone, you don't know their name, or maybe they have a new pet or a new child and you don't know their name yet, don't ask them what their name is. Ask them, has it a name? If you say it right, with the right tone, you might actually make them forget the name of their own child. Number 2, it is well. The next time you need to give confirmation for a job well done to anyone who's Mormon, don't tell them good job or way to go. Say, it is well. It's gonna stir something up inside of them. It's gonna make them look at you and just kind of like wonder, like, what are you doing? What? The last one, if you can use this right, I swear it'll be a smash, and I need anybody who does it successfully to report back to me. Let's pretend you're in a conversation with a Mormon and his name is Steve, because you need to use their name in this one. You just can't get your message through to Mormon Steve. He's not understanding, he's not getting it, and you're frustrated. You might say in that moment, "Oh, Steve, hear the words of my mouth." And if you really want to get him, say, repeated 3 times. Oh my gosh, if anybody does that, please let me know. Have fun! I have to answer this question every now and then because of the satirical nature of my content. Thanks for asking. To be clear, I am not mocking the people who hold the beliefs. I am mocking the beliefs that hold the people. People get my inherent respect, but beliefs do not. And when I see beliefs that are silly, I will disrespect them. We need to criticize bad beliefs so they get sifted out. And humans need just to do a better job of disconnecting their identities from their beliefs. If you're offended by my attack on a belief that you hold, that's on you. Have a nice day.
I'm just living the dream. That's unbelievable.
Why I always choose Marriott.